Chapter 1057. Zheng Xian thanks all of you for coming to the Starfall region. Zheng Xian stood up and cupped his hands towards the crowd, saying, Region Lord Zhuang Fei of the Fiery Lion region, Region Lord Zhang Yugong of the Imperishable region, Region Lord Shibuhui of the Carrier region, and the heroes of the three great regions, I, Zheng Xian, greet you. Everyone cupped their fists. You are too kind, Region Lord Zheng Xian. Zhuang Fei narrowed his eyes and smiled. Are you sure about Region Lord Zheng Xian's information? Is Lin Muyu of the Dragon League really dead? Very much so. Zheng Xian said, in order to find the antidote for Qin Yin, Lin Muyu dared to barge into the corpse-nurturing plane alone. The corpse-nurturing plane is a place where living people are not allowed to enter. Even gods do not dare to act rashly. Lin Muyu's aura completely disappeared on the second day he entered the corpse-nurturing plane. My men in the corpse-nurturing plane also reported that Lin Muyu was gravely injured and killed by a mysterious person. Wonderful. Zhuang Fei could not help but clap his hands and laugh. Lin Muyu's ambition is clear. With his death, we can finally relax. Chang Yugong of the Imperishable region had a mustache. His eyes were full of cunning. He smiled. Then, Region Lord Zheng Xian must have something important to discuss? Zheng Xian could not help but laugh. It is so tiring to talk like this. Why don't we be frank? This time, Zheng Xian invited all of you here to unite the four regions to destroy the Dragon League in one fell swoop and divide the Dragon League's territory and treasures. Good, that's how it should be. The Region Lord of the Earth-bearing region, Shibuhui, smiled and said, however, I don't know how this will be divided. I think we should first discuss how it will be divided. This way, we can all contribute our strength, am I right? Zhuang Fei nodded in agreement. Zheng Xian smiled. Simple. The four regions will contribute and divide the territory according to the number of people we send. How about it? Long Fishbow smiled faintly. That's easy. The imperishable realm can mobilize 11 god emperors, 200 divine kings, and 700 divine venerables. How should we split the spoils? Zheng Xian didn't say anything. He just looked at Zhuang Fei. Zhuang Fei laughed out loud. The Fiery Lion region will definitely send out all its forces. 17 god thearchs, 0 god kings, and 800 godly venerables. What do you think? Zheng Xian remained silent and looked at Shibuhui. Shibuhui clapped his hands and smiled. Looks like we can't let the territorial lords underestimate the Earth-bearing region. The Earth-bearing region is willing to send out 8 celestial emperors, 187 divine kings, and 1100 hierarchs. Everyone took a deep breath. Everyone knew that the Earth-bearing domain was powerful, but no one expected Shibuhui to have so many hierarch realm experts. More than 1,000. It was a scale that only the ultimate major domain could have. Even the Eternal Domain and the Fiery Lion Domain, the top 3 domains in the West, did not have so many hierarch realm experts. Zheng Xian laughed and said, that's great. We have a total of 46 emperor gods, over 800 divine kings, and over 3,000 hierarch gods. With such a powerful army, we can easily crush Dragon City and share the Dragon Alliance with us. But the territorial lord still hasn't said how the Dragon League's territories will be divided. Zhuang Fei smiled faintly. Zheng Xian said, how about this? Territorial Lord Zhuang Fei will take Dragon City alone. The Falling Star region is willing to take Golden Dragon region, the Imperishable region will take Sparrow region, and the Earth-bearing region will take Sky Foothill region. How about that? Alright, it's a deal. Zhuang Fei's eyes lit up as he clapped his hands. Dragon City used to be a castle in the Raging Fire region. It was also the largest and wealthiest castle in the south. He was more than happy to agree. Chang Yugong and Shibuhui looked at each other and didn't say anything. The Fiery Lion region was the strongest among the 4 regions after all. It was reasonable for Zhuang Fei to take Dragon City. The two nodded. Zheng Xian said happily, then we will gather in the Falling Star region 3 days later. Once the sky turns dark, we will rush to Dragon City and crush it to dust. However, please don't hold back. There's Blazing Angel Shi Yan in Dragon City, and Tang Xiaoxi with the Fire over Godhead. Feng Zhanlin, Machi Lin, and the others aren't easy to deal with either. We must do our best to destroy the Dragon League with minimal losses. Alright. Everyone raised their glasses and drank to celebrate the division of Dragon City. They didn't know that Xiao Fairy, who had destroyed the Spirit Wind region and the Ancient Desolation region, was here again. Zhuang Fei had a good plan. If he could get Dragon City and the Fiery Lion region's castle, the 2 most powerful castles in the south and west would belong to him. Then, he would have the power to fight against the heaven-devouring region. Chang Yugong and Sherbuhui were just fishing in troubled waters. It would be better if they could get more benefits, and they could escape the fate of being attacked by the Dragon League. After all, the best defense was offense. As for Zheng Xian, he was the most afraid. What Lin Muyu said last time was still vivid in his mind. The Falling Star region might be the first to be destroyed by the Dragon League. Therefore, the bigger the mess, the better. It would be best if they could destroy the Dragon League with the power of the other 3 regions. Even if they couldn't destroy it, they could weaken the Dragon League so that it wouldn't be able to attack the Falling Star region again. Everyone had their own thoughts, and it was these thoughts that led to this alliance. Dragon City. Qin Yin, who was lying on the bed, was reading an ancient book about the 64 regions. She put down the book in boredom and asked, Xiao Shi, has you not come back yet? No, don't worry. Tang Xiaoxi chuckled. Why? You miss him so soon? No. Qin Yin blushed. She probably felt that her denial was too weak. She smiled and said, You wicked girl, don't you miss him? I do. Tang Xiaoxi confessed. She looked worried and said, but Mu's aura suddenly disappeared. Even Sister Xiao couldn't find her in the North Tianluan region. I really don't know what to do, Qin Yin frowned and said, my body will fully recover in about 3 days. 3 days later, we will go to the corpse cultivation plain together. Okay. Outside the door, a slim figure was sitting on the red railing. It was Shi Yan. She silently looked at the swaying bamboo forest in the courtyard. Her eyes were faint as she said, several powerful forces have gathered in the direction of the Luoxing domain. Have you sensed it? Xiao leaned on the pillar and smiled. Of course. Shi Yan chuckled. If I'm not wrong, one of the auras should belong to the Fire Lion region lord, Zhuang Fei. I've seen this person before. He's greedy and ruthless. The other auras are not good people. Zheng Xian, that idiot, is probably plotting something bad again. Now that Yu is not in Dragon City, the big regions are probably going to attack Dragon City. We don't need to wait for you to come back. We can defeat this motley crew. Xiao took a deep look at Shi Yan and smiled. If you didn't lose your cultivation, I'm afraid you could destroy more than half of the 64 regions by yourself. How is it? Doesn't it feel different when your strength is not as good as before? That's really different. The clowns that you could crush with one finger in the past can now ride on your chest and do whatever they want. Why ride on your chest? Xiao was a little speechless. Shi Yan giggled and said, Xiao, after cultivating for tens of thousands of years, don't tell me you haven't tasted the feeling between a man and a woman? Xiao's weakness was exposed, but her expression was still calm. She said, Grandmaster once warned me that practicing our sect's mantra with a virgin body will yield twice the results with half the effort. Humph, nonsense. Shi Yan said, I can see that the 7 luminaries demon emperor of the Eastern Heaven realm likes you very much. You can't miss this opportunity. This kind of man is very rare. If you miss it, there won't be another one. Is that so? The corner of Xiao's mouth raised slightly. If the demon emperor is a good man, well, forget it. Let me tell you something. 5 years ago, when the demon emperor went on a crusade against the border of the northern heaven realm, he obtained a lot of prisoners of war. Among them were the 14 female war gods of the northern heaven realm. Guess what? The demon emperor spent 2 weeks to punish them separately. Humph, I won't marry this womanizer. Compared to him, you is much better. Shi Yan couldn't help but laugh. But you is also a womanizer. He likes Xiao Yin and Xiao Shi. He also has an ambiguous relationship with Chu Yao of the Broken Cauldron realm. Also, there's a lot of sisters. Si Kong Yao, Jin Xiaotang, Wei Chou and so on. I don't want to talk about them anymore. Xiao interrupted her. Wait, Wei Chou is a man, right? Don't think I don't know anything, Io, you saw through me. Shi Yan stuck out her tongue. Xiao couldn't help but laugh. Shi Yan, you really can't see through me. Why do I have to see through you? Anyway. Shi Yan raised the corner of her mouth. Anyway, in a few days, the two of us will most likely fight the enemy side by side. I didn't expect that you and I would actually face the enemy side by side. Yes. Xiao nodded. There are many experts in the Blazing Lion region and the Falling Star region. There are hundreds of God the Arch Realm experts. Shi Yan, how is your strength recovering? How much pressure can you share with me? Shi Yan pondered and said, I have just recovered to the God the Arch Realm. I have used up too much of my strength. I can't fight many people in a short time. If they send 200 God Thearchs, I will fight too. The other 198 will depend on you. Xiao clenched her fist. Her beautiful face was in high spirits. No problem, leave it to me. 3 days later, in the Ancestor Wizard's illusory realm. Thunder rumbled in the morning. Dark clouds rolled in the sky. It seemed like a heavy rain was about to fall. Is it going to rain? Lin Muyu sat on a tree branch and asked. It's not rain. Someone is coming. Gomang smiled faintly. We have been waiting for him. As expected, there was thunder but no rain. Chang Liang was the thunder ancestral wizard. His control over thunder and lightning was the strongest among the 12 ancestral wizards. His entrance was domineering. He had only walked for 3 days, but Lin Muyu had subconsciously listed him as someone with no sense of direction. Among the rolling dark clouds, a person descended from the sky. He looked like a centaur, but he held a python in his hand. He also had a venomous snake in his mouth. The venomous snake twisted its body slowly, sending chills down one's spine. Chang Liang, come and greet the new leader. Gomang shouted loudly. Chang Liang was indeed the weakest of the 4 ancestral wizards. He landed in front of Lin Muyu without any resistance. Thunder ancestral wizard Chang Liang greets the leader. Why are you holding a snake and having another in your mouth? Lin Muyu felt that her worldview was challenged. She was very unhappy. Chang Liang stammered, that's because he couldn't explain it for a long time. Because of the setting. Chapter 1058. The 4 great ancestral sorcerers were all present and stood respectfully in front of Lin Muyu, awaiting her orders. A light drizzle fell in the ancestral sorcerer's illusion, nourishing all living things and making people feel relaxed and happy. Lin Muyu smelled the fresh air of the wilderness. This place was much more pleasing to the eye than the corpse-breeding fields. He looked at the 4 Grand Sorcerer ancestors and asked, are there only 4 of you in the entire Grand Sorcerer Dreamland? Yes, Chief, the Candle Dragon said respectfully. Then leave and return to the 64 domains. Your mission to protect the Star Stone has ended. Chang Liang did not react and said, We are leaving now. Why, are you reluctant? Lin Muyu smiled faintly and said, The Grand Sorcerer Dreamland is just a corner of the 64 domains. There is a bigger and more vast place out there. I need your strength to help me sweep through the 64 domains. Yes, I understand. Chang Liang nodded and coiled the giant snake around his waist instead of holding it in his mouth. Otherwise, this new chief seemed to be on the verge of going berserk. Lin Muyu glanced at the candle dragon and said, All right, take us out of the Grand Sorcerer Dreamland. Yes, chief. The candle dragon cupped his fists respectfully and muttered to himself. Divine power flew out of his body and the earth trembled in the blink of an eye. Countless golden lights shone from the surface of the earth, and the entire world was reversed in an instant. Yin and Yang exchanged places, and the soil under their feet became wet and soft. A faint stench spread out. They were already in the corpse cave basin of the corpse breeding fields, which was also the place where Lin Muyu left. Finally back. Seeing the familiar corpse cave basin, Lin Muyu could not help but feel excited. But not far away, the rolling corpse beasts were roaring and hitting the stone walls, making loud banging sounds. General Hua rode on the giant elephant and said loudly, Train well. One day, we will avenge our master and take back my Dong Hua sword. Lin Muyu could not help but laugh and coughed. General Hua turned around and was so scared that his face turned pale. He took a few steps back and said, Did I see a ghost? You are a ghost. How can you say you saw a ghost? Lin Muyu said. Young hero, you came back from the ancestral sorcerer's illusion. Then, aren't these the legendary? General Hua shuddered. Only then did he see Gomang, Zhulong, and the other oddly shaped fellows. Every single one of them had strong divine power and aura. Every single one of them was a perfected god emperor ancient god. Lin Muyu smiled and said, I don't need to introduce me. Behind me are the 4 ancestors of the Grand Sorcerer Dreamland. They have already followed me. So. General Hua Master. And General Hua, Master, you, I, Hua, you, all, Muyu, and to kill. You. General Hua hurriedly rolled down from the back of the elephant and said, I, Hua can, pay my respects to everyone. Grand Wizard Ancestor, I am a commander under your master. Everyone, please, there's no need to say any more. Gomang interrupted him and said, You are a minion of Ancestor God Chiyu's spiritual sense, so we won't kill you. You should stay in the corpse nurturing plains and take care of yourself. Leader has other matters to attend to, so he doesn't have time to waste with you. Take care of yourself. Yes. Yes. General Hua kowtowed repeatedly. Lin Muyu leaped up and disappeared into the sky of the corpse nurturing plain along with the 4 great ancestral sorcerers. From afar, a ray of light could be seen converging on the ground. It was Fuzhou. He had waited bitterly for nearly half a month, and he finally got to see Lin Muyu. In the western suburbs of Dragon City. The sky was filled with streaks of light and fire. The experts from the Fiery Lion region, the Falling Star region, and the other 3 regions arrived one after another. They planned to launch a surprise attack before dawn. However, their auras couldn't escape the senses of Xiao and Shi Yan. The moment the 4 regions gathered at the Falling Star region, Xiao already knew when they would attack. In the wilderness of the western suburbs, the members of the Dragon League were hiding in the weeds. Feng Zhanlin looked up at the streaks of light and fire in the sky and couldn't help licking his lips. What a bunch of lunatics. The Fiery Lion region and the Falling Star region have turned out in full force. It's all thanks to Xiao Fairy's warning. Otherwise, if the Dragon City was attacked, we wouldn't have the time to react. Mochi Lin gripped his weapon tightly and said, When do we attack? A towering tree stood in the wilderness like a phoenix crown. Inside the tree, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi stood side by side, looking at the attackers in the sky from afar. Qin Yin, carrying the Nuwa zither on her back, shook her head and said, "Don't be hasty. Let half of them pass. We'll attack from the middle and disrupt their plans in an instant, so that they can't connect the front and the back." "Yes. Xiao Shi, are you nervous?" Qin Yin asked with a smile. Tang Xiaoxi giggled, the bottom gus spear in her hand glowing. "How could I be? In any case, I'm a veteran of hundreds of battles." "Humph, the four regions really have the guts to attack the Dragon City. They definitely didn't expect that Sister Xiao is already in the Dragon City. If Mu is also here, they'll definitely suffer the consequences this time." Qin Yin smiled. "Humph, even if Brother Yu isn't here, they'll still suffer the consequences. If they want to touch the Dragon City, they should have thought about the consequences waiting for them." As she spoke, Qin Yin ordered from afar, "When the battle starts, don't kill them all. Focus on making them lose the ability to resist. Capture more, kill less." Feng Zhanlin and Feng Zhanhai nodded in unison. "Yes." Tang Xiaoxi blinked her eyes with a hint of doubt. "Where did Sister Xiao go?" "I don't know. She said she went to catch up with Zhuang Fei." "Sister Xiao still knows Zhuang Fei." "Who knows? It's about time, get ready to attack." "Yes." Qin Yin gently waved her snow-white arm, and suddenly, the Nuwa zither was already in front of her chest. She looked at the vast sky above and said, "I'll force them to come down. Everyone, get ready to attack." As she spoke, she gently stroked the Nuwa zither with both hands. In an instant, a stream of light surged and swept across the land like a tide. At the same time, dense golden zither energy appeared in the air. Although the sound of the zither did not spread in the air, the vast impact made the flying gods stop in their tracks. The golden energy instantly formed a huge wall, blocking everyone's path. Peng, peng, peng. Some ultimate gods and deity kings who could not dodge in time hit the giant wall, spitting out blood as they fell. "Attack!" Feng Zhanlin, Feng Zhanhai, and the rest pulled out their weapons and rushed forward. In an instant, the wild forest in the night was like countless fireflies flying into the sky. Waves of energy surged and light bloomed in the sky. The divine powers of the gods collided with each other, emitting colorful lights and turning the night into day in the blink of an eye. Swoosh! Tang Xiaoxi flew among the crowd like a meteor. Her Tig spear was indestructible, stabbing one expert after another. In a short moment, the gods could not react in time. None of them could block Tang Xiaoxi's powerful penetrating power, especially the blazing firepower of her great fire technique. It was not something that ordinary divine powers could withstand. "Little girl, you're courting death." The Fiery Lion Region's deputy region master swung his spear and attacked Tang Xiaoxi from behind. The divine power waves overlapped and were very dazzling. But before he could reach Tang Xiaoxi, a shapeless divine power beside him smashed heavily into his armpit. With a peng sound, the divine wall was shaken to the point where light scattered everywhere. The deputy region master hurriedly turned around and looked fiercely at the attacker. To his surprise, he discovered that it was Qin Yin, the god the arch-expert who wielded the Nuwa zither. "You're courting death!" the deputy region master shouted. His spear carried a great amount of divine power and flew over. His aura was like 10,000 galloping horses and falling stars. The weapon in his hand turned into thousands of spear tips and attacked Qin Yin with great energy. The corners of Qin Yin's mouth curled up, revealing her beautiful little dimples. A golden wave flowed through the Nuwa zither, and a strong wind suddenly swirled around her, forming a perfect wind barrier around her. The tip of the opponent's spear kept bursting with golden energy, but it could not move Qin Yin at all. Instead, Tang Xiaoxi stabbed the Dig spear from behind. "Huh! The deputy region master turned around to block, but he was caught off guard. Tang Xiaoxi opened her hand and used the fire god's seal. The fire god's seal hit his chest heavily and injured him slightly. There were a few more invisible attacks behind him. It was the great hope sound from the Nuwa Zither. Wa, the deputy region master of the fiery lion region, spat out a mouthful of blood. Many of the bones on his back and chest were broken. He was in a sorry state and could not even use 30% of his strength. Another beautiful girl appeared beside him. It was Luo Xintian from the Dragon League. She was also a god the arch-expert. Luo Xintian did not hold back and launched a series of fierce attacks. She shouted in a delicate voice, "Get down and be bound." I am. The deputy region master looked up at the sky and saw the Chiwe sword that had split into countless rays of light. The woman in the sky was extremely majestic, and the 6 wings behind her were dazzling. It was Seraph Shi Yen. Although Shi Yen had only recovered to the god the arch realm, she had the identity and cultivation of Seraph. It was not a problem for her to fight half of the fiery lion region. At this moment, she was doing the same. She alone blocked half of the people from the fiery lion region. Together with Feng Zhanlin, Feng Zhanhai, and the others, the fiery lion region alone was not a match for the Dragon League. Sigh, the deputy region lord let out a long sigh and landed on the ground. If he continued to resist, he would most likely die. The people from the meteorite region and the earth-bearing region are here. After half an hour, Niu Gung appeared in front of Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi with blood all over his body. After fighting for a long time, everyone was separated and fighting each other. The western suburbs were filled with godly state experts from both sides. It was hard to determine the winner. After all, they had the numbers. Once the meteorite territory and the earth-bearing territory attacked together, it was obvious that Qin Yin, Shi Yen, and the others wouldn't be able to resist them. After all, dozens of celestial the arch realm experts weren't just for show. As expected. Tang Xiaoxi squinted her eyes and looked at the sky. Streams of light were flying towards them. Hong. It was Shi Buhui, the region master of the earth-bearing region with a flaming battle saber. Tang Xiaoxi was the first to face the enemy. The flames of the Burgos spear surged towards Shi Buhui's battle saber. Clang! The flames burst out and a wave of flames swept the surroundings. Tang Xiaoxi was forced to take a few steps back. Her face was filled with shock. Shi Buhui was indeed powerful. Die! Shi Buhui roared. He spun his long saber and attacked Tang Xiaoxi, Luo Xintian, Niu Gung, and the others in an arc. He was ruthless. He was planning to kill so many people from the Dragon League. Chapter 1059. Tang Xiaoxi and Qin Yin had been fighting for a long time and had used up more than half of their divine power. Naturally, they were no match for Shi Buhui, who was at the 87th level of Grotto Heaven. Even Qin Yin was overwhelmed by the slash. Hum. The sound of the guqin was heard and the energy of hope sound was ready to be released. However, Qin Yin wasn't confident that she could block Shi Buhui's attack. In the air, Shi Yen looked over and said, "Be careful." Wu, Tang Xiaoxi and Luo Xintian both assumed a defensive stance. 34C and 32B were surging with divine power in front of them. Niu Gung was gritting his teeth, but he was powerless. The difference in strength was too great. Swoosh! Just as Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Shi Yen, and the others' hearts were in their throats, a spatial crack suddenly flashed in the air with a bang, and then a figure fell from the sky. His toes stepped on the furious thunder and fell like a meteor. With a bang, his combat boots stepped on Shi Buhui's tyrannical saber energy and directly stomped the saber energy into the ground. The bottom of his feet roared, and the crisis of this saber was quickly resolved. Ah! Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi opened their mouths wide and looked at the back of this person. They missed him so much. It was none other than Lin Muyu. He turned around and smiled brightly. Xiao Yin, Xiao Shi, it seems that I'm not late. You're finally back. Qin Yin's voice was trembling. Tang Xiaoxi pouted and looked unhappy. However, everyone knew that she was faking it. Let's get rid of the strong enemy in front of us first. Lin Muyu raised her hand and pulled out the Xianyuan sword. At the same time, with a wave of her left hand, the Donghua sword, along with its scabbard, fell into the soil in front of Qin Yin. She smiled and said, "Little Yin, this is a gift for you. Use it as a sword." Qin Yin raised her hand, and the Donghua sword was unsheathed with a clang. The blade of the sword was shining brightly. The power and sharpness of this sword were many times stronger than the star's sword. Qin Yin was pleasantly surprised. "Thank you, Brother Ayu. Do you need me and Xiao Yin to help?" "No need. You guys fight the small fries. Leave this person to me." Lin Muyu held the Xianyuan sword and looked at Shibuhui. "You look familiar. Who are you?" Shibuhui gritted his teeth. "Alliance leader Lin, you're so forgetful." "I'm Shibuhui. I'm the Earthlode region leader Shibuhui. Have you forgotten me? A lowly person. I don't remember. You." Shibuhui trembled with anger. "Where are the brothers of the Earthlode region? Kill them all. The Dragon League must perish today. As long as the Dragon League is not destroyed, we won't be able to eat or sleep in peace." In the sky, thousands of stars twinkled. They were the followers of the Earthlode region. In terms of numbers, the Earthlode region had the advantage in numbers. "What? Do you think you're the only ones with help?" Lin Muyu laughed. "Gomang, are you still not going to show yourself?" "At your command, leader." In the sky, a muffled thunder-like sound descended. Immediately after, 4 beams of golden light fell in midair with a swoosh. One by one, human figures appeared. Each of them was standing on a huge golden wheel. It was the legendary divine wheel. 4 god thearchs of the Daemon Garden had arrived. Oh my god, Shibuhui's heart skipped a beat. The information was wrong. Zhengxian from the Fallen Star region didn't mention that Lin Muyu had so many perfected god thearchs under her. Moreover, all of their faces were ferocious and didn't look like they were easy to deal with. If 4 god will experts were to attack, the Earthlode region would probably be removed from the list of 64 domains. Lin Muyu looked up at the sky and shouted, "Cultivators of the Earthlode region, Shibuhui's greed knows no bounds. He actually wants to invade the Dragon League. Do you want to die with him? Now, I'll give you a choice. Join the Dragon League and become my subordinates. Of course, there's another choice. Become the enemy of the Dragon League and disappear from the 64 domains." With that, Lin Muyu shouted, "Gomang, Zhulong, what are you waiting for? Kill Shibuhui." As soon as she finished speaking, the Xianyuan sword had already struck out. The first strike was the extremely powerful 6 elements calamity. Shibuhui's face was pale with regret. What else could he do now? There was no turning back. Everyone understood that if he were Lin Muyu, he wouldn't have been allowed to leave alive today. Once the domain master died, most of the followers would naturally surrender. This was also the reason why Lin Muyu gave the order to kill him. The flames on the saber surged as Shibuhui faced the 6 elements calamity head-on. Bang! How could he block it? He was blasted back nearly 100 meters. When he looked up, he saw Lin Muyu covered in golden light charging towards him. The Xianyuan sword struck again, 5 mountains descending from the heavens. Shibuhui complained incessantly. He raised his saber to block, but with a clang, his saber was split into 2 by Lin Muyu. The saber was destroyed, and he was dead. Shibuhui was in despair. 2 powerful attacks came from behind him. It was the joint attack of Gomang and Zhulong. Any one of them had the ability to kill Shibuhui within 10 moves, let alone when they joined forces. PFFF, PFFF. Gomang's saber and rapier pierced Shibuhui's body at the same time. The three experts activated their divine power at the same time. In the next moment, Shibuhui's body was vaporized. An 87th Heavenly the Arch-Realm expert was killed as easily as crushing an ant. Lin Muyu looked at the sky again and said, "As long as you are willing to join the Dragon League, I will let bygones be bygones." In the sky, the thousands of deity realm experts from the earth-bearing region were dumbfounded. In the end, one person floated down. It was the Divine King realm expert that Lin Muyu saved on the longevity altar, Wang Xiang. Wang Xiang knelt on one knee and said, "I, Wang Xiang, am willing to join the Dragon League and listen to Alliance Master Lin's orders." Lin Muyu's kindness on the longevity altar was quickly repaid. Wang Xiang's reputation in the earth-bearing region had always been pretty good. As soon as he surrendered, dozens of God Realm experts immediately landed and shouted, "Since Big Brother Wang Xiang has surrendered to Alliance Lord Lin, then we are also willing to follow Alliance Lord Lin." Lin Muyu smiled happily, "Welcome everyone." More and more people came. In the blink of an eye, everyone from the earth-bearing region had surrendered. If they didn't surrender, they would be killed. They didn't think that Gomang, Zhulong, Changliang, and Dijiang would be merciful. As long as Lin Muyu gave the order, they might kill everyone from the earth-bearing region. "Now, it's time for you to make a contribution." Lin Muyu waved his arm and said, "Help the Dragon League achieve victory. Go." Their opponents immediately became the Fallen Star region and the Fiery Lion region. Everyone flew away, leaving behind a mess of battle in the wilderness and Shi Yan, Feng Zhanlin, and the others who were quickly finishing off their battles. "Where's Sister Xiao?" Lin Muyu asked. "She's at the forefront, blocking the people from the Fiery Lion region and the Imperishable region," Tang Xiaoxi said. Lin Muyu frowned. No wonder there weren't many people on the battlefield. Most of the forces from the four regions were intercepted by Xiao. He immediately flew up and said, "Shao Yin, Shao Shi, come with me to help Sister Xiao. For ancestral shamans, stay here and clean up the battlefield. Try to reduce the losses of the Dragon League." "Yes, leader." The four ancestral shamans disappeared in the blink of an eye to kill the enemy. These four people. Qin Yin blinked her eyes. Lin Muyu quickly hugged her and said with a smile, "We'll talk about it later. Let's go help Sister Xiao first." "Okay." Tang Xiaoxi looked sullen at the side. Lin Muyu turned to her and kissed her on the cheek. "Let's go, Shao Shi." Tang Xiaoxi's gloomy mood quickly changed. She was so easy to coax. When Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Tang Xiaoxi arrived, they saw a dazzling light in the sky. Wisps of life elemental energy turned into invincible killing intent and wreaked havoc in the sky. Thousands of immortal state warriors took turns to attack, but they were all defeated by Xiao. Almost none of them could last more than 3 rounds. Even the Fiery Lion region Lord Zhuang Fei couldn't take 3 moves from Xiao. Boom, the green light pierced through Zhuang Fei's body like a sharp sword, and blood splattered everywhere. Xiao walked in the air, and golden lotus flowers appeared under her feet. That was the purest life elemental energy. The lotus flowers bloomed, and the leaves were extremely green. Although it was just an illusion, it made people feel the most magical and great life elemental energy in the world. This life elemental energy became invincible in the hands of Xiao, a powerhouse at the 99th heaven level. You're here." Xiao flipped her hand, and thousands of lotus flowers burst. The petals turned into flowing lights and wreaked havoc in the crowd of enemies. The immortals fell like meteors, and they were heavily injured. Indeed, after fighting for a long time, none of them could get close to Xiao. "Sister Xiao has always been well." Lin Muyu said with a smile. Xiao giggled. Not bad. Here, what should we do with this Zhuang Fei? There's also Long Yu Gong, but I killed him by mistake. Zhuang Fei is still breathing. Lin Muyu looked around and saw Zhuang Fei panting heavily with the help of a few experts from the Fiery Lion region. He was in a sorry state. Alliance leader Lin, spare me, spare me. Zhuang Fei's body trembled. My Fiery Lion region will never become enemies with the Dragon League again. I, Zhuang Fei, swear on my integrity. How much is your integrity worth? Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows. Do you think I'd do something as stupid as letting a tiger back into the mountains? If you can be of use to me, then do so. If you don't, then I'll kill you. If I let you go now, I'm afraid you'll come back to bite me in the future. Fuzhu, finish him off. Yes, master. Fuzhu whizzed away. In the next moment, the dignified region master of the Fiery Lion region lost his personality and his soul. She was used to fighting and killing, so Lin Muyu was a little numb to it. She didn't care and led Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi to quickly subdue the people of the Fiery Lion region and the Imperishable region. This great victory would lay the foundation for the Dragon League to dominate the 64 regions, and Xiao wouldn't have come in vain. If Lin Muyu could unify the 64 regions, it would greatly increase the strength of the Eastern Heaven realm. This was something that Xiao and the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor eagerly looked forward to. The battle continued until dawn. Among the 4 regions, the people of the Falling Star region had long since escaped, so they suffered very few losses. The Earth-bearing region surrendered completely, the Imperishable region surrendered 70 to 80%, and the Fiery Lion region surrendered half. The remaining half either died in battle or fled with heavy injuries. Compared to the other 3 regions, the Fiery Lion region was the more courageous one, but it was a pity that they still failed on the verge of success. Chapter 1060. As dusk approached, there were still godly state experts returning to Dragon City one after another. Many of them were injured to varying degrees. Feng Zhanlin personally received them at the gates of Domain Castle and arranged for their treatment. There was no celebratory feast in the side hall of Domain Castle, only a simple meal. Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Shi Yan, Xiao, the 4 witches and Fuzhu made up a table. This meal was a welcome dinner for Lin Muyu and the 4 witches. There were all kinds of dishes and spirit fruits on the table. Needless to say, the Dragon League was rich and powerful. The meal of the leader was 100 times better than that of an ordinary family. I didn't expect to see the legendary 4 witches. Xiao looked at Gomang and the others with a smile. You are all my seniors. Gomang and Zhu Long were a little uneasy. Gomang coughed and said, we old guys are just wasting our time, unlike Miss Xiao who has cultivated to the great perfection 99 heavens at such a young age. It really makes us old guys who have lived for tens of thousands of years feel ashamed. Zhu Long snorted and said, in the future, I still need to seek Fairy Xiao's guidance. It seemed that Zhu Long was not very convinced of Xiao's cultivation. After all, the Immortal realm also had a preference for males. Since ancient times, there were countless people who had cultivated to the great Tao, and most of them were men. Xiao smiled faintly and said, all right, I also hope Senior Zhu Long can give me some guidance. Lin Muyu glanced at Zhu Long and said, even meat can't stop your mouth, leader, what's wrong? Zhu Long was confused. Lin Muyu said, Xiao's cultivation is far beyond your imagination. Zhu Long, if you want to challenge Sister Xiao, you have to beat me first. If you can't even beat me, then don't mention Sister Xiao. Ahem, yes, leader. Zhu Long was a little embarrassed. Indeed, he was no match for Lin Muyu. Qin Yin kicked Lin Muyu under the table and said with a hint of rebuke in her beautiful eyes, Zhu Long is my senior, brother, you don't be like this. Besides, can you really beat Senior Zhu Long? Guess, Shao Yin. Lin Muyu laughed. Qin Yin frowned slightly and pouted. If this was in the past, you definitely wouldn't be able to win. Senior Zhulong is at the 97th level of Grotto Heaven. The disparity between you and him is too great. But now, I can't say for sure. Let Senior Zhulong say it himself, Lin Muyu said with a smile. Zhulong said awkwardly, this. I sparred with the leader once in the ancestral wizard's illusory realm, and I indeed lost. The leader's cultivation in the state of mind is admirable. It far exceeds the level of cultivation that someone his age should have. Shi Yan squinted her eyes and smiled. I'm afraid the more important reason is the immortal golden body? Yes, it's the immortal golden body. Gomang nodded and said, Leader was ordered by Heaven's will to understand the legendary immortal golden body. This is also one of the reasons why we four ancestral wizards believe that he is the successor of Qiyu Stone. If he wasn't chosen by ancestral god Qiyu, how could he understand the secrets of heaven and obtain the immortal golden body? Tang Xiaoxi asked with a smile, Mu, is the immortal golden body really that powerful? Yes. Lin Muyu nodded. After entering the immortal golden body, that feeling, he was silent. Tang Xiaoxi asked anxiously, how does it feel? Lin Muyu smiled and said, that feeling is as if the blood in my body is boiling, and the deepest potential in my body is being stimulated. Be it my domain or my attacks, they all become extremely powerful. The power of each attack is also greatly increased. It's like the legendary ferocious and domineering people who are on drugs. Tang Xiaoxi was speechless. What do you mean by drug? I don't understand. Well. Lin Muyu patted her shoulder and said with a smile, after we complete our mission, I'll bring you back to our hometown, Earth. You'll understand in that domain. Okay. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi nodded happily. Gomang was a little shocked and said, Leader, the Earth you mentioned, is it the legendary primeval land, the place where we, the 12 ancestors of sorcery, and ancestor god Qiyu were born? Yes, that's right. I see. At this moment, Xiao squinted her beautiful eyes and smiled, why don't you show us the Qiyu stone? I want to see how powerful this stone that can overturn rivers and seas is. Sister Xiao wants to see the Qiyu stone? Yes. Alright. Lin Muyu took out a crystal-clear stone from her Qianquan pouch and handed it to Xiao. For a moment, Gomang, Zhulong, Changliang, and Dijiang all left their seats and knelt down. Seeing the Qiyu stone was like seeing the ancestor god Qiyu, their faces full of respect. Ancestor god, Lin Muyu was a little speechless. She raised her hand and said, Get up, all of you. The spiritual thoughts of the ancestor god Qiyu and the Qiyu stone have dissipated on their own. It's completely under my control now, you don't have to be so respectful. Gomang was a little confused. After a few seconds, he stood up with the others and returned to their seats. Lin Muyu minded her own business and picked food for Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi, all of which were meat. Beauties needed to eat more meat to develop and maintain their beauty. Vegetarianism was nonsense, eating more meat was the way to go. Xiao held the Qiyu stone and praised, her eyes were full of light, she smiled, Yu is really a man of luck. He actually had such a fortuitous encounter in the ancient mystery realm, obtained the Qiyu stone, and subdued the 4 great ancestor sorcerers. If the demon emperor knew about this, he would be so happy. You and brother demon emperor went through so much trouble to bring us to the 64 domains, it's not right for us to go back without a gift. But Sister Xiao, if I really unify the ancient mystery realm and subdue millions of God-state experts, can I bring them back to the East Heaven realm? If they are willing to follow me to the Heaven realm and enjoy eternal life. Well. Xiao furrowed her brows and said, it's possible. I can use the northern heavenly will to open a spatial rift and connect the eastern heaven realm to this place, but it will consume a lot of divine power. Just me alone is far from enough, and I will need to consume a lot of divine power. This divine power basically comes from divine sparks, light origin stones, and other top-quality containers, so, to open a continuous passage to allow the gods of the ancient secret realm to go to the Eastern Heaven realm, this is a rather large project. How long will it take? Lin Muyu was excited, as long as it was feasible. Xiao thought about it. I don't know how long it will take, but if you really plans to leave the ancient mystery realm with the gods, I must return to the god realm as soon as possible to prepare. Yes, I will, this is my promise to everyone. Lin Muyu glanced at Machi Lin and the others outside the side palace. She must take them away, otherwise they will die of old age in the ancient mystery realm. After all, there was no eternal life here. Then it's a deal, I will return to the god realm in the afternoon to prepare for this. Alright, thank you, Sister Xiao. No need to be so polite, we are family. Xiao smiled. Shi Yan coughed. How is it a family? You and the demon emperor are brothers, but Xiao, you are not sister-in-law yet, so you are not considered a family. Speaking of which, you and I are a family, and he wants to call me sister-in-law. Xiao didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but you hasn't married Xiao Yin yet, Xiao Yin is still a virgin. Qin Yin blushed, Sister Xiao, how can you tell? Xiao puffed out her chest and smiled, there are many mysteries in life, things that little girls like you and Xiaoxi can't see through. Take your time to learn. Lin Muyu hurriedly helped Qin Yin out. Gomang, Zhulong, you said that the Qi Yu stone can command the armies left by the Jiuli tribe. Where are they? Gomang cupped his hands and said, Master, after ancestor Qi Yu died, we opened the gate of time and space, saving the remaining armies from being slaughtered and subdued by Xianyuan. The army led by Xing Tian is in the God realm, hiding in the Immortal Mountain, which is under the jurisdiction of the Eastern Divine Realm. Gong Gong's water-kind army is hiding in the prehistorical plane, which is the earth, in the water deep underground. They have all been in hibernation for tens of thousands of years, waiting for the awakening of the Qi Yu stone. Oh, I see. Then we have to leave the prehistorical secret realm to find them. Yes. Xiao opened her mouth. Strange, I have been to the Immortal Mountain a few times, why didn't I see any armies? It's a barren land, with only a group of stone men guarding the mysterious ruins. Gomang laughed, Miss Xiao, you may not know this, but the army led by Xing Tian turned into stone after Xing Tian died. Only the Qi Yu stone can revive them. These stones don't have any aura, Miss Xiao, no matter how powerful you are, you won't be able to sense their existence. Turned into stone. Xiao was speechless, no wonder, you ancient gods are so strange, always doing curses and prophecies. Gomang cupped his fists, sorry for my lack of manners, that's the specialty of witchcraft. Lin Muyu also said worriedly, Gong Gong's army is hiding in the water, but the technology on Earth is highly advanced, if we are discovered, won't we be wiped out? Don't worry, leader. Gomang smiled, we have already set up an illusory boundary before we came to the ancestral witchcraft fantasy realm, no matter how smart the descendants are, they won't be able to discover it. Xiao also smiled, don't worry, in the face of absolute divine power, all technology is useless. Sister Xiao, why are you so confident? Xiao laughed, half a year ago, we conquered a star in the star field of the Western Heaven realm. The people there are very smart, and their technology is also very advanced. However, they still fell within 3 days. The technology they relied on was only the mastery of electricity, magnetism, and force fields, but a true consummate God Emperor realm expert can make a star lose all of its magnetic field with a flick of a finger. Electricity cannot be used, and all weapons are just scrap metal. Lin Muyu nodded, thinking about it carefully. Xiao's words made sense, the source of all technology seemed to be the magnetic field, without the magnetic field, there would be no power, and all advanced weapons would naturally be ineffective. Domain was greater than everything, this was also the strength of gods. Chapter 1061. In the afternoon, Ziyao left the primordial mystery realm with northern region Tianluan. According to her agreement with Lin Muyu, she was going to be very busy. However, if she really succeeded, she would be able to increase the number of Divine Realm experts in the Eastern Divine Realm by several thousand. Especially super experts like the 4 great ancestral sorcerers. Once they went to the Divine Realm, they would be the absolute trump card of the Eastern Heaven Court. Moreover, Ziyao was very pleased with Lin Muyu's growth. Lin Muyu was able to defeat the 4 grand sorcerers with a level 82 Grotto Heaven Realm cultivation base. Wouldn't he be invincible once he reached the level 99 Grotto Heaven Great Perfection Realm? Perhaps, even the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor, who also had the Supreme Godhead, would not be his match. After nightfall, those who should have returned had returned. Some of them even brought a captive or 2. She brought Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi to the main hall to brew tea and wait for news. Footsteps could be heard. The 2 brothers, Feng Zhanlin and Feng Zhanhai, had arrived, followed by a few God Emperor experts. How is it? Lin Muyu asked. Feng Zhanlin cupped his fists and said, most of them have returned. In this battle, we suffered heavy losses. Nearly 300 people were injured, 21 divine kings died, and 144 godly venerables died. Lin Muyu frowned, give compensation to their wives and children. They will be raised by Dragon City. Their children will be taught martial arts by the Dragon League. Yes. How many people have we captured? Feng Zhanlin smiled, almost all of the earth-bearing domain have surrendered. More than half of the eternal domain have surrendered. Nearly half of the fiery lion domain have been killed. The rest have surrendered. A total of 28 God Emperors, 312 Divine Kings, and 1,244 godly venerables have surrendered. All of them have been arranged to live in the southwest residential area of Dragon City. Lin Muyu frowned, the number of captives is more than what we originally had. What are your plans? Although they've pledged allegiance to Dragon City, it doesn't mean that they're loyal. Feng Zhanlin said, therefore, this subordinate has a request. Create 2 new domains in the Dragon League and divide all the people who have surrendered into these 2 domains. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi will be the domain lords respectively. They will slowly tame these people and make them loyal to the Dragon League. With these 2 ladies as the domain lords, it is enough to show how much Lin General values and relies on the people who have surrendered. What does Lin General think? Lin Muyu was stunned. She looked at the 2 beauties beside her and asked, are you willing? Qin Yin smiled. Xiao Shi and I should share more of your burden. This is our duty. How can you ask us if we are willing or not? I'm afraid I'll have to trouble you then. It's okay. Lin Muyu nodded and said, Domain Lord Feng, go and divide the members of the 2 new domains. There will be a ceremony tomorrow, and I will attend it. But what are the names of the 2 new domains? Feng Zhanlin smiled. That depends on the 2 ladies. Qin Yin smiled. The domain I'll be in charge of will be called Orchid Heart Domain. Orchid Heart Domain, huh? Lin Muyu chuckled. Qin Yin blushed. You can say that, what about Xiao Shi? Tang Xiaoxi thought about it and said, then let's call it Tidal Domain. Okay, 1 Orchid Heart Domain and 1 Tidal Domain. Sounds good. Lin Muyu agreed readily. Are you going to choose the 2? No need. Let Domain Lord Feng make the arrangements. Feng Zhanlin cupped his fists and smiled. I promise you and your wives will be satisfied. I'll take care of it now. Tang Xiaoxi and Qin Yin blushed. Feng Zhanlin's words were getting more and more likable. The next day, Dragon City held the ceremony of Orchid Heart Domain and Tidal Domain. It was a very lively day. The entire hall of Dragon City was filled with people. There were more than 300 banquet tables. After all, there were nearly 4,000 godly state warriors in the Dragon League. It was the strongest in the 64 domains. Even the sky-devouring domain was inferior. The Dragon League's momentum had reached a peak. This was especially so after super experts like the 4 great Grand Wizards joined the alliance. The Dragon City's dominance over the world became even more obvious. When everyone was in high spirits, Feng Zhanlin turned around and flew above the square. He said, "Brothers, let's stop and listen to what the Alliance Master has to say. What do you think?" Everyone put down their wine glasses and looked at the stage respectfully. Lin Muyu stood up with a wine glass in her left hand and the hilt of the Xianyuan sword in her right hand. She walked up the stairs step by step and said, "My original intention in coming to the 64 domains was to cultivate myself. However, I soon realized that cultivation cannot be so peaceful. I must fight to live with dignity. To tell you the truth, I come from the Eastern Divinity Realm, and I am the Left Marshal of the Divinity Realm. I don't care what you have done before, or what kind of person you are, but from today on, you must abide by the rules of the Dragon League. When I unify the 64 domains, I will take you away from the 64 domains and go to the Divinity Realm to enjoy eternal life." Many godly state warriors were stunned. They didn't believe what she said. Lin Muyu smiled and said, "I, Lin Muyu, never make empty promises. Everyone should know about Xiao after yesterday's battle. She's my sister. Xiao's will of the North can open the passage between the 64 domains and the outside world. It also makes it possible for everyone to leave this place. Don't doubt it. Just do your best for the Dragon League. From now on, we're a family. We'll go through thick and thin together. If you're willing, raise your glass and let's drink." Everyone raised their wine glasses and drained it in one gulp. Although the gods who lived in the 64 domains ate and slept well, and perhaps had dozens of beautiful servants and maids to serve them, none of these were as tempting as eternal life. Gods didn't want to die either. If they died of old age, how could they be called gods? In the afternoon, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi brought the god-state warriors of Orchid Heart region and Tide region to their respective territories. The domain castle of Dragon City was divided into 4 parts. Spirit Sparrow region, Sky Foothill region, Orchid Heart region, and Tide region. Like this, the entire domain castle was already full. 4,000 god-state warriors. This was the maximum number that Dragon City could handle. After all, every god-state warrior had their own residence and servants. This was the treatment that they deserved. They couldn't be neglected. Otherwise, there would be chaos. In the middle of the night, candles flickered in the side hall. Lin Muyu sat cross-legged and cultivated for a long time. Finally, the rustling sound of footsteps came from outside. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi came back together. The 2 girls had a trace of fatigue on their faces. It was indeed too tiring for them to be in charge of a domain. "You're back?" Lin Muyu walked forward and opened her arms to embrace the 2 beauties. She asked, "How do you feel?" "It's complicated. Very complicated," Qin Yin said. "I'm so tired." Tang Xiaoxi's voice was full of tenderness. It seemed that she couldn't wait to fall asleep in Lin Muyu's arms. "Don't be in a hurry to sleep. Take a bath first. I can ask someone to boil water." "Okay. What about you?" Qin Yin glanced at Lin Muyu. "I'll make the bed." Lin Muyu smiled. Immediately, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi looked at each other and smiled. It seemed that they would sleep together tonight. While the 2 beauties were taking a bath, Lin Muyu was in the hall reviewing the cultivation list of the new members of the Dragon League. Not long after, Qin Yin came out wrapped in a bath towel. Lin Muyu just took a glance at her and couldn't move her eyes away. Over the years, Qin Yin had grown from a young girl to a beautiful woman. Her figure had also become more and more enchanting. The towel wrapped around her towel made people's hearts beat faster. Her well-proportioned snow-white long legs were especially full of tension. Lin Muyu couldn't sit still anymore. She put down the list and called, "Xiao Yin, come here." Qin Yin smiled, "Aren't you going to make the bed? What are you doing? Come here first." Oh, Qin Yin seemed to have a premonition that something would happen. She floated over and said with a smile, "I'm coming." Lin Muyu took the opportunity to put her on his lap, hugged her gently, and said, "It's great that you can be healthy." "Big brother you," Qin Yin was slightly startled. She felt a burst of warmth in her heart. She knew that Lin Muyu was thinking of the time when she was in a coma. At that time, he must have been very anxious. Qin Yin also knew that her beauty was enough to make any man fall for her. However, Lin Muyu always made love to her and stopped with propriety. In fact, even if he did, she wouldn't blame him. Thinking of this, Qin Yin lowered her head and fell into Lin Muyu's arms, hugging him tightly. His nose was full of the woman's delicate fragrance. How could Lin Muyu sit still? His heart was in a daze. His left hand was completely out of control. Suddenly, it reached into the bath towel. It was smooth and smooth. When he held the full bosom, Lin Muyu felt that his heart was about to stop. Qin Yin moaned, her face flushed, and her body instantly became hot. She hugged Lin Muyu tightly and whispered in his ear, is it hard to bear?" Lin Muyu gasped and replied in a low voice, "It's okay." "How do you know?" Qin Yin wanted to laugh, but she held back her laughter and whispered, If you want to do anything, Xiao Yin." "Xiao Yin won't refuse." Lin Muyu's heart raced, as if it was about to jump out of her throat. Just when they were about to take the next step of their plan, the door suddenly opened with a creak. Tang Xiaoxi stood outside the door and said, Did I come at the wrong time?" Qin Yin reflexively sat up from Lin Muyu's arms, her face flushed. "No, nothing." Tang Xiaoxi chuckled. "I didn't say anything. Xiao Yin has a guilty conscience." I didn't." Lin Muyu stood up and hugged Qin Yin from behind. He whispered in her ear, "When we return to the Shattered Cauldron realm, we can get married in front of Father's memorial tablet. Then, we can do it openly." Qin Yin's face was red, and her voice was as soft as a mosquito's buzz. Tang Xiaoxi floated in. "Humph, you're whispering again. Can't you tell me what you said?" Lin Muyu said, "I told Xiao Yin to prepare well. We will attack the Falling Star domain the day after tomorrow." Tang Xiaoxi. Chapter 1062. On the 29th day of the 5th month of the Empire calendar, thousands of miles to the east of the Shattered Cauldron realm, the three great empires stood on a huge territory. The balance of power between the Tianji Empire, the Celestial Empire, and the Blackstone Empire was slowly collapsing. The people in the central city of the Blackstone Empire, Mount Qianshan City, were in a state of panic. Over the past few days, dragon riders had been constantly descending upon the city, bringing bad news one after another. In the resplendent palace hall, Emperor Shi Yuan had a worried frown on his face. The faces of the ministers were also pale. The voice of a royal guard came from outside the door, Dragon Rider General Fu Yun requests an audience. "Summon him," Shi Yuan said in a low voice. Amidst the heavy footsteps, Fu Yun, dressed in military attire, walked into the hall. There were even some bloodstains on his body. His expression was very grave as he knelt on one knee. "Fu Yun greets your majesty." "Get up, Fu Yun. You've finally returned. What news did you bring?" Shi Yuan said with his eyes narrowed. Fu Yun said in a deep voice, "I've found out that Feng Jixing is already training the navy on the Daojiang River. The Qin Empire has forged at least hundreds of fortress ships, barges. The entire Daojiang River of the Zhangnan province is filled with traces of the navy. I think Feng Jixing's intentions are already very clear. It won't be long before they invade the East with the entire nation's military strength. Humph, invade the East? Shi Yuan's eyes were filled with coldness as he said, my Blackstone Empire will definitely not sit and wait for death. A mere shattered cauldron realm wants to destroy my Blackstone Empire? Dream on. At this moment, the young man sitting on the golden chair beside Shi Yuan stood up and said with an extremely pleasant voice, Your Majesty, you don't have to worry too much. I don't think that Feng Jixing's training of the navy means that they're going on an expedition to the east. After all, the Shattered Cauldron realm has been at war for many years and has long exhausted their savings. Feng Jixing's training of the navy is just to protect himself. The one who spoke was none other than Longxi of the Thunder Flame sect, a peerless expert with the immortal character of ice and fire and a 92-fold grotto heaven. Moreover, Longxi was talented and had entered the divine state a long time ago. He retained the appearance of a 26-year-old and looked very young. However, who would have thought that such a young man would have thousands of troops and more than 50,000 cultivators of the Thunder Flame sect under his command? Shi Yuan nodded. Sect Master Long is right, but the Empire's westward expedition is imminent. We have no choice but to fight. Longxi smiled faintly. It seems that your Majesty has made up your mind. Yes. Shi Yuan smiled calmly and explained, firstly, the northern border of the Empire is no longer safe. The Bai Zhe mercenaries led by Si Kongyao and Liu Bai already have hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Coupled with the help of the demonic spirit race from the Forest of No Return, a few counties in the north have fallen one after another. The Empire has no strength to tangle with Si Kongyao in the north. Secondly, the young emperor of the Celestial Empire, Chen Yu, was defeated in the Battle of Eastcom City, losing more than 1 million troops. Now, he has regrouped hundreds of thousands of troops and is constantly attacking the cities on the eastern border of the Blackstone Empire. The fortresses that we have spent hundreds of years building are falling one after another. We have no strength to contend against the Celestial Empire. As such, what other choice do we have apart from an expedition to the west? Longxi smiled and lowered his head to look at the person on the other side of Shi Yuan. He said, His Majesty said that the Blackstone Empire now has a right-hand man. Why don't we ask the right-hand man when we are in such a predicament? On the other side was a middle-aged man with restrained divine light. He was wearing armor, and there was even a piece of wolf skin on his shoulder armor. He looked extremely capable and experienced. He was none other than the Valley Master of the Wolf Valley, Hisong, the clan leader of the two great reclusive tribes in the Celestial Pole continent. Hisong cultivated the laws of wind and had long advanced to the great perfection Divine Emperor realm. The tribe under his command even had 100,000 troops. It was just that he stood aloof from worldly affairs. Otherwise, he would be able to set off huge waves in the Celestial Pole continent. Longxi said with a smile, Valley Master Hisong has 100,000 troops under his command. Why would he be afraid of Chen Yu and Si Kongyao? Your Majesty must know that. Among the 10 sacred martial gods in the Wolf Valley alone, there are several tens of sacred martial kings and several hundred sacred martial venerables. As long as Valley Master Hisong decides to send out his troops, I dare say that Chen Yu will definitely stop the war and Si Kongyao will also carefully consider it. However, Hisong did not say anything. Shi Yuan could not help but turn around and ask in a gentle voice, Valley Master, what do you think? Hisong stroked his short beard and said with a smile, I really don't deserve such high praise from Sect Master Long. However, I also don't agree with the plan to send troops to the Shattered Cauldron realm. The land of the Blackstone Empire is a treasure passed down from our ancestors. How can we hand it over to others? Your Majesty, if it's for the sake of defending the Blackstone Empire, Wolf Valley is willing to send troops. Otherwise, the disciples of Wolf Valley are really not willing to stain the yellow sands of other countries with their blood. Shi Yuan could not help but frown and said, It seems that the two of you don't agree with the matter of going on an expedition, yes. He Song said, if the Blackstone Empire gives in and leaves the Celestial Continent, it will only make the Tianji Empire and the Celestial Empire stronger and stronger. Even if your Majesty manages to take over the Shattered Cauldron Realm, the Blackstone Empire will also suffer a great blow. At that time, the Tianji Empire and the Celestial Empire will join hands and go on an expedition to the west. What will we rely on to protect the Shattered Cauldron Realm that we have just obtained? Shi Yuan muttered, Valley Master is right. He Song smiled. If it's just to protect the Celestial Empire, Wolf Valley is willing to send troops. However, since Wolf Valley has decided to be loyal to your Majesty, I hope that your Majesty can give me some promises. Oh? What promises? Confer a city to Wolf Valley so that my troops can have a place to stay. This city must be large, have a large population, and be sufficiently prosperous. Shi Yuan's eyes flickered, but he did not say anything. Longxi, who was at the side, smiled and said, with the reward of a city, you can get 100,000 soldiers. Why not, Your Majesty? Red Rock City in Red Rock Province can be used as a reward. Red Rock City is strong and prosperous, with a population of more than 1 million. Adding the dozens of counties in the surroundings, it has a total population of more than 1,000 people. I think it should be enough for Wolf Valley to station troops. Shi Yuan looked at He Song with a stern gaze and said, then. We will now confer Valley Master the Consul of Red Rock Province. You will be in charge of all the important military and political affairs in the province. I will send 3 generals to assist Valley Master in resisting the Celestial Empire and recovering the lost land. Many thanks for your Majesty's great kindness. He Song took a few steps back and knelt on one knee, his face full of joy. Men, seal and ribbon. Shi Yuan personally handed the seal and axe to He Song and said, Red Rock City is in imminent danger. I hope Valley Master can send reinforcements as soon as possible. Yes, your subordinate will return to Wolf Valley and give the order to set out. As soon as he finished speaking, He Song had already shattered the void and disappeared from the great hall, leaving behind only a strong gust of wind. Shi Yuan glanced at the crowd of officials and said, disperse. Sect Leader Long, please follow me to the rear hall for a chat. Yes, Your Majesty. In the rear hall, 2 palace maids lit up an incense burner and respectfully waited on the side. Shi Yuan helplessly sat in front of a table filled with memorials to the throne and said, Sect Leader Long, what do you think of He Song? Although they were called his left and right arms, the person Shi Yuan truly valued was Longxi alone. After all, Longxi was the strongest expert of the Blackstone Empire, while He Song was merely the leader of 2 great secluded tribes in the Outlands. They were just using each other. Longxi smiled faintly. He Song has a request for the Empire, and your Majesty also needs He Song's troops to resist the Celestial Empire's Chenyu. Therefore, this subject believes that your Majesty conferring the title of Red Rock Province to He Song is a dangerous move, but also a clever one. Is that so? Shi Yuan said dejectedly, we feel as if we are ceding the territory of our ancestors. To think that someone like He Song, who wields such a powerful army, waits his tail and begs for pity, is truly a disgrace to the sovereign of an empire. A lack of forbearance in small matters will spoil great plans. Since ancient times, heroes have always sought victory on the precipice of life and death. Your Majesty is no different. All we need is He Song's 100,000 elite troops from Wolf Valley to help us defeat Chenyu. Once we defeat Chenyu, Wolf Valley's troops will definitely suffer heavy losses. At that time, it will be as easy as turning over our hands for us to take back He Song's military power and political power. Sect Leader Long, do you know why He Song must go to Red Rock City? Shi Yuan asked. Longxi was startled, but he did not speak. Sect Leader is unwilling to say. Longxi shook his head. It's not that I'm unwilling, but that I don't want to say. Why? Longxi smiled. It seems that your Majesty really doesn't know much about Wolf Valley. The people of Wolf Valley have the nature of wolves, and the cultivation technique they cultivate is called the blood wolf art. It is abnormally tyrannical, and the only way to awaken the blood wolf art is through blood sacrifice. Blood sacrifice? Shi Yuan was slightly stunned. Yes, blood sacrifice. Using the blood of living people as a guide, one can obtain a powerful bloodline awakening power. Wolf Valley has nearly 50,000 cultivators who have awakened the blood wolf art, and they have devoured the lives of 50,000 innocent people. This is also the reason why people have been disappearing at the borders of the Blackstone Empire for so many years. Didn't Your Majesty order us not to investigate this matter in order to avoid conflict with Wolf Valley? Shi Yuan sighed. So. He Song wants Red Rock City because he covets the flesh and blood of the Empire's citizens? Yes, the purer the bloodline of the person used for the blood sacrifice, the stronger the power of the blood sacrifice. It is best to use virgin boys and girls, which is why He Song wants Red Rock City. Aren't we handing over the lives of our citizens to a bunch of demons? Shi Yuan slammed his fist on the table, instantly shattering the memorial and splitting the table into two. The veins on his face bulged, and beads of sweat seeped out. His entire body trembled as he said, "From today onwards, I will be reviled by the people of the world, and my name will be infamous for 10,000 years. Your Majesty." Longshi's voice became heavier. Those who want to achieve great things don't bother with trifles. Your Majesty, please do not hesitate. Once the Blackstone Empire's predicament is resolved, I will do my best to help Your Majesty eliminate He Song and the others. Then. I will depend on sect leader. Shi Yuan nodded and did not say anything else. High up in the sky, far to the north, the Pure Land in the horizon started to snow heavily. This place was cold all year round, but the spiritual energy was dense and the life force was exuberant. Under the cover of the snow, a lush green forest covered the land. Even in the northern heaven realm, even if it was snowing non-stop, the flowers here would always bloom. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Amidst the sound of stepping on the snow, two people in white robes walked in a zigzag manner in the mountains. Their target was a sturdy city in the northern heaven realm's snowy region. It was a city that stood tall in the sky, connected to the earth by iron chains. The entire city seemed to be floating in the air. This was the center of the northern heaven realm, Black Rock City. When the two stopped at the foot of Black Rock City, heavenly soldiers and generals holding weapons appeared above them. They shouted loudly, "Who goes there?" Swoosh! A petite person walked forward and lifted her cloak, revealing a beautiful face. She said, "Western Divine Realm's blazing angel Eva seeks an audience with Northern Region's King of Gods, Dong Ming." Chapter 1063. Blazing Angel? What a joke! A Northern Region Divine Guard in fiery red armor couldn't help but burst into laughter. He laughed so hard that tears came out of his eyes. He pointed at Eva and said, "Little girl, you are indeed pretty, but why would a blazing angel come to the Northern Region? Ha ha ha, hurry up and leave. Two wandering gods dare to come to Blackrock City to cheat? I think you must be tired of living." Eva was infuriated. However, the person behind him placed a hand on Yuan's fragrant shoulder and ordered her not to transform into a blazing angel. He said, "If you get angry at these small fries, it would be a disgrace to our Western Divine Realm. Let me handle it." "Yes, ruler." Eva nodded respectfully. When the cloak was taken off, Claude's chaotic face was devoid of any emotion. He spread his arms wide and his body rapidly expanded. The light he created was comparable to that of Blackrock City. The aura he exuded was enough to send chills down the spines of those who saw it. "Go tell God King Dongming that Claude from the Western Divine Realm wants to see him." "Yes. Yes." The Northern Region Divine Guard was so scared that his face turned pale. He hurriedly said, "Someone, open the door and let Ruler and Lord Blazing Angel in." Go and report to His Majesty that the ruler of the Western Divine Realm is here. Eva snorted coldly and followed Claude into Blackrock City. In the city, the Northern Region Divine Guards formed a forest in the sky. Each of them had a bright sword and armor. At a glance, there were tens of thousands of God King and Hierarch level experts. The strength of the Northern Heaven Realm was evident. Claude floated away without looking sideways. Eva carefully looked around. The intention of the Northern Heaven Realm was unclear. No one knew what would happen next. In the distance, a huge frost palace stood in the sky. Before entering the palace, a figure came out to welcome them. It was God King Dongming from the Northern Heaven Realm. Ha ha ha, old friend, long time no see. Dongming affectionately opened his arms and hugged Claude. Pa. Rays of divine power blazed fiercely on Dongming's frost battle armor. However, who was Dongming? With his 99-level Grotto Heaven Frost over God Divine Core, he naturally wouldn't be afraid of light elemental attacks of this level. He laughed heartily and let go of Claude, who was like a donkey stump. He flicked the flames on his chest and said smilingly, "It's been so many years since we last met, but brother Claude, you're still as cold and aloof as ever." Claude smiled faintly. The godly King Winter Mystic is still as passionate and unrestrained as ever. Ha ha ha, come in. Dongming said loudly, "Someone, brew tea. Use the best tea to entertain our distinguished guests. Our Northern Heaven Realm has not had such a distinguished guest for many years. Come, let's sing and dance to liven things up." The tea was good and fragrant. The dancers were all goddesses. There was nothing to say about their figures and looks. It was said that the Northern Heaven Realm was rich in beauties, and this was definitely not a lie. I didn't expect that the Northern Heaven Realm would still be so peaceful. Claude sipped his tea and said lightly, "Brother, what do you mean?" Dongming asked with a smile. Claude couldn't help but laugh. The war between the East Heaven and the Western Divine Realm has been going on for so long. Haven't you heard of this news, brother Dongming? And I heard that the subordinate of the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor, Sun Feng, often leads his army to harass the territories of the Northern Heaven Realm. This news shouldn't be fake, right? Brother Dongming has always been proud of the Northern region. How could he endure such humiliation? It seems Brother Claude didn't come to the Northern Heaven Realm to drink tea and reminisce about the past. Dongming blew a breath of hot air and said with a smile, "The tea of our Northern Heaven Realm smells fresh and has a long aftertaste. Brother, if you don't enjoy it, it would be a wasted trip. You're really boring. You only know how to fight and kill all day, but you don't know how to enjoy at all." Claude couldn't bear it anymore. He suddenly slammed his palm on the table, causing the teapot to fly up. He said angrily, "Dongming. Look, you're even angry." Dongming smiled. Suddenly, his gaze turned cold and he said, "Do you think I don't want to take revenge? My subordinates, Yangli, Zhou Shi and the others, died without a burial place in the Shattered Cauldron world. But before I took action, I received a warning from Xiao. Until now, I can't act rashly. Do you think I'm not ashamed?" Claude was stunned. Then, "Brother, just now, I'm just trying to see if the Western Divine Realm has any sincerity." Dongming waved his arm and said, "All the songs and dances are over. Men, call the two marshals over." Yes. Very quickly, two god generals with 98 heavens and golden armor walked in and sat at the side respectfully. Dongming stood up and said with a calm expression, "Let me introduce you. The one on the left is Dong Han, my younger brother. He's 98 heavenly paradise god emperor and cultivates the law of frost. He's one of the two marshals of the Northern Heaven Realm and controls 80,000 heavenly soldiers. The one on the right is Yangshang, one of the two marshals. He also controls 80,000 heavenly soldiers. Most of the power of the Northern Heaven Realm is in the hands of the two marshals. Dong Han and Yang Shang stood up at the same time and bowed. Greetings, Master Claude. Claude nodded his head in greeting. His heart was filled with joy. He said, "So, the Northern Heaven Realm is also preparing to take action?" Dong Ming smiled slightly. The military strength of the Eastern Heaven Realm is getting stronger and stronger. The Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor is arrogant and overbearing. He has long had the intention to annex the Northern Heaven Realm. We are all ancient gods. How can we bear such a shame of extinction? Even if we lose, the Northern Heaven Realm will definitely make the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor lose a few teeth. No, we won't lose. Claude said in a deep voice. As long as you and I join forces, as long as the two heavenly regions of the Northwest and Northwest form an alliance, why worry about not being able to destroy a mere East Heaven? The East Heaven has been fighting for years and has lost a lot of power. Now, there are only 30,000 heavenly soldiers under Sun Feng and Qing Ping's command, plus the 20,000 left army of the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor. The East Heaven only has a total of 80,000 heavenly soldiers. Why would Brother Dong Ming's 160,000 heavenly soldiers be afraid of his 80,000? In addition to the 110,000 angel army of the Western Divine Realm, it's enough to destroy the East Heaven 10 times. Oh. Yang Shang couldn't help but laugh. So the Lord Ruler still has 110,000 angel army in his hands. If that's the case, how can your Western Divine Realm still be defeated by the East Heaven? Claude was speechless and his face was livid. Eva shouted in a low voice, "Presumptuous. Marshal Yang Shang probably doesn't know the methods of the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor, right? The Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor has the sovereign godhead and is tyrannical and overbearing. In addition, Xiao and Sun Feng are both 99 Heavenly Path God Emperors. I'm afraid that even the Northern Heaven Realm would be defeated." What a joke. Yang Shang said coldly, "If that's the case, the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor wouldn't have attacked the Western Divine Realm first and not the Northern Heaven Realm." Claude frowned. If Marshal Yang Shang had seen the power of the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor and felt the aura of the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor, I'm afraid he wouldn't say that. Seeing that Claude and Eva were about to burn, Dong Ming raised her hand and said with a smile, "Yang Shang, shut up. This time, we're discussing the alliance. There's no need to talk about unimportant things." "Yes, Your Majesty." "Brother Claude, there's no need to lower yourself to his level. Yang Shang has always been so arrogant and despotic. I hope you can forgive him." "It's fine." Claude's eyes were almost on fire. Dong Ming said, "Once you and I make an alliance, how will we destroy East Heaven together?" Claude pondered for a moment and said, "East Heaven has continuously seized control of nearly 2,000 planes in the Western Divine Realm. I plan to launch a war to recover them in 3 days. At that time, the Northern Heaven Realm will come out and attack East Heaven, leaving the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor unable to split himself. In this way, East Heaven will inevitably collapse, and that will be the day when Elder Brother's great success will come. Since it's a coordinated attack, why use the power of the entire country?" "Oh? What does Elder Brother mean?" "What I mean is very simple." Dong Ming raised the corner of her mouth and said, "I only need to send Yang Shang to lead 80,000 soldiers to attack East Heaven, and he will be able to pin down the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor. In addition, I can also send another army into the mortal world for a war of revenge." "War of revenge?" Claude was startled. "What do you mean?" "Yang Li is Yang Shang's younger brother. Yang Li died in the Shattered Cauldron Realm. How can we not avenge him?" Dong Ming smiled meaningfully. "Lin Muyu also has a sovereign personality. His roots are in the Shattered Cauldron Realm, and he will definitely return. I plan to send a big gift to the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor by sending the absolute power of the heavenly army into the Shattered Cauldron realm, ambush Lin Muyu, and kill him completely. Then, they will bring Lin Muyu's head as a gift to the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and Xiao. Do you think the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor can still maintain his calm and command the war of gods? Claude frowned. The matters of the mortal world should be settled by the gods of the mortal world. I have already arranged for Dora, Zai, and other angels to stay in the Shattered Cauldron realm. Once the Northern Heaven realm intervenes, I'm afraid it will cause unnecessary disputes and destroy the alliance we have just concluded. I'm afraid Dora and Zai won't be able to complete their mission, right? Dongming waved her hand and said, "Why is Lord Ruler so indecisive? It's just a mere celestial pole continent. So what if you give it to our Northern Heaven realm? Besides, I just want to get rid of the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor's right-hand man. Once we unify that plane, we will return it to the Western Divine Realm." Claude's mind was in a mess. Dongming's meaning couldn't be clearer. Exchanging the celestial pole continent for the Northern Heaven realm to send troops might be the only way out. Fine, since that's the case, I will entrust the war of the celestial pole continent to the Northern Heaven realm. Please rest assured, Lord Ruler. The Northern Heaven realm will definitely not let you down. Good. 10 minutes later, 2 figures flashed past like lightning in the tunnel of time travel. It was Claude and Eva who were on their way back. Ruler, if you really want to give the celestial pole continent to the Northern Heaven realm, then. That Dongming is an old fox. Eva said uneasily. Other than that, there's no other way. A glint shot out of Claude's eyes and said, Dongming doesn't really want to attack the East Heaven. Do you think I can't see it? If Dongming wants the celestial pole continent, then let him go and fight with Lin Muyu until his head bleeds. In addition, secretly arrange for people, all experts above the Radiant Angel level, to sneak attack the area connecting the Northern Heaven realm and the Eastern Heaven realm in 2 days. Kill their gods, seize their godhoods, and leave behind the seal of the East Heaven. Eva couldn't help but frown. Lord, are you trying to provoke a conflict between the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and Dongming? That's right, this is the first step. Claude's eyes were full of murderous light, and he said lightly, the second step is for Dongming to kill Lin Muyu and Qin Yin, making the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and Xiao lose their rationality in a real sense. Chapter 1064. Early in the morning, the spirit medicine department was tranquil and peaceful. Birds cried in unison as they flew about above the flower canopy, and there was a beautiful figure between the numerous stalks of fresh flowers. She was trimming some withered branches carefully as if she was deeply afraid of cutting off even a small part of a living branch. Great Deacon! Lan Yan's voice came from behind. She bounced like a butterfly and said with a smile, Good news, good news. Oh, what good news? Chu Yao turned around and said with a smile, You and Xiao Yin are back. That's not it. Commander Feng is back. Oh, Big Brother Feng is back. How is this good news, Great Deacon? You may not know this, but a group of Iha Nation's traders came back with General Feng, including the former South King, Qin Yi, and his son, Qin Huan. There were also some generals and nobles of Iha Nation, such as Man Ning and the others. These Iha Nation's traders rested in Five Valleys City for nearly half a month, and finally returned to the imperial capital under General Feng's supervision. Lan Yan blinked and said, Here, this is the invitation for an impromptu court meeting in Zhe Tian Hall in the afternoon. You are one of the 3 great deacons, so you naturally have to go. Qin Yi is back? Chu Yao frowned slightly and said, I want to see how Commander Feng Jixing plans to deal with this group of traitors. During the chaos in Lanyan City, the people who really killed Chu Huayin were LV Zhao, Long Qianlin, and the others. Now that LV Zhao and Long Qianlin had passed away, only Qin Yi, the South King, was left. However, Chu Yao had been in the imperial capital for many years, and she was no longer the little woman who only knew hatred. Now that she had stepped into the god state, she knew what she should do and what she should not do. Lan Yen, help me prepare the equipment. After lunch, you will follow me to Zai Tian Hall. Yes, Great Deacon. The so-called uniforms were custom-made by the Ministry of Personnel for all the officials of the empire. The uniforms were different for civil and military officials, men and women. The uniform of the chief attendant of the spiritual medicine department was also of a unique style, and it was custom-made by a famous tailor for Chu Yao. After all, Chu Yao's status in the capital was extraordinary. She was Lin Muyu's elder sister, and even the empress, Qin Yin, had to address her as big sister. Furthermore, she was a god state expert, so everyone had to give her some face. In the afternoon, civil and military officials arrived at Zai Tian Palace in an endless stream. The Grand Court meeting had not been held for a long time. Ever since Feng Jixing left Lanyan City, Suyu had been the only one to hold a few large-scale meetings. There was a forest of guards outside the palace. After the reconstruction of the Imperial Guards, most of them were selected from the Holy Temple. There were many people who were well versed in the Great Fire technique and the Martial God technique. The number of experts who were trained by Lin Muyu and Qin Yan numbered more than 400. The overall strength of the Imperial Guards had already surpassed the scale when Qin Jin was still alive. Chu Yao was dressed in a dignified chief attendant's robe. She entered the palace side by side with Qin Yan and looked up. The person sitting on the throne was Su Yu, Qin Yin's aunt. Su Yu was sitting there with a long sword in her hand. It was the recast Desolation sword, and it represented the highest authority in Lanyan City. Meanwhile, Feng Jixing stood at the side like a god of war. Su Yu represented the highest authority, and Feng Jixing represented the highest authority in the army. We pay our respects to Chief Attendant Chu Yao. When Chu Yao passed by, Wei Chou, Su Jiantao, Situ Sun, Situ Shui, and the other subordinates of Lin Muyu all bowed. They knew very well how important Chu Yao was in Lin Muyu's heart, and they could not afford to slight her in the slightest. Thank you for your hard work, everyone. Chu Yao nodded with a smile, and continued walking forward. She was one of the 3 chief attendants, and her position in the imperial court was above that of deputy commanders like Wei Chou and Situ Sun, so her position was closer to the throne. And when Chu Yao passed by the 2 brothers, Qin Yi and Qin Lian, she could not help but take a second look, and then stood beside Qin Lian. You are the king of South Subduing, Qin Yi? Chu Yao asked. Qin Yi frowned, and said, That's me, and you are? Chu Yao of the Spiritual Medicine Department. Oh, so it's Chief Attendant Chu Yao. Sorry for not recognizing you. Qin Yi cupped his fists and bowed. He had heard of this name before. In the past, the empire had a famous general called Chu Huayin, who had dealt a heavy blow to the army of Iha country, and this beautiful chief attendant was Chu Huayin's younger sister. Chu Yao smiled, and said, The king of South Subduing has returned to Zai Tian Palace, and you have met your brother, chief attendant, so you must have endless things to talk about, right? Qin Yi was a little embarrassed, and did not know how to answer. Qin Lian said, The past. Can't Chief Attendant Chu Yao let it go? Chu Yao laughed lightly. I'm just a little girl. So what if I let it go? So what if I don't? But I know that if Emperor Qin Jin was still standing under this plaque, he definitely wouldn't let go of this act of brothers killing each other. I also know that Feng Jixing, who is standing beside the throne, definitely wouldn't let go. I also know that if my brother was still alive, he also wouldn't let go. Some things shouldn't be forgiven in the first place. You are right, Chief Attendant. Qin Yi nodded, and said, I know what I've done wrong, and I have never thought of quibbling about it. No matter what punishment Zai Tian Palace gives me, I will gladly accept it. That's good. Chu Yao smiled faintly. But at this time, Qin Huan, who was behind Qin Yi, said angrily with an ashen face, Chu Yao, you're just a chief attendant of the spiritual medicine department. What right do you have to mock and ridicule us here? I don't think you have the right to speak in Zetian Palace, do you? Chu Yao frowned slightly, but before she could say anything, Situ Sen and Wei Chou walked over, and as if unsheathing their swords, they shouted, Qin Huan, do you know who you're talking to? Do you want to die? When military generals entered Zetian Palace Hall, they had to remove their weapons, but Wei Chou and Situ Sen's weapons were still there, so they were pardoned. To be able to obtain this kind of exemption, which one of them was not a famous general who had made outstanding military achievements? No matter how ignorant Qin Huan was, he knew the status of these two people in the imperial military, so he clenched his teeth and said nothing. Chu Yao, on the other hand, chuckled, and said, Deputy commanders, stand back. Don't mess up the rules of Zetian Palace. Yes, chief attendant. Wei Chou and Situ Sen stepped back, giving Chu Yao enough face. The rest of the officials saw this, but they remained silent. Even Qin Huan, who was the chief of the National Assembly, didn't say anything, so what right did the others have to make irresponsible remarks? Is everyone here? If so, let's start the discussion. Feng Jixing said. The official outside the palace said loudly, reporting to General Feng, everyone is here. Good, close the doors of the palace and start the discussion. Yes. The two lacquered golden doors closed with a rumble. However, there were many dazzling engraved gems at the bottom of Zetian Palace that refracted light, causing the palace to be as bright as day even after the doors were closed. Feng Jixing looked respectfully at Su Yu, who stood up with the solitary desolation sword in her arms. She said calmly, 12 years and 2 months ago today, the volunteer army began to attack the imperial capital, Lanyan City. That was a disaster for the empire, and the living will never forget the names carved on the national monument. They were the pillars and heroes of the empire. Chu Huai, Qin Lei, Lei Hong, Si Kongfan, Yu Wenxia, Meng Fang, Luo Lai, Zhuge Yun, and so on. Their deaths were exchanged for the rebirth of Lanyan City, and the living will never forget them, nor will they forget their hatred. As she spoke, Su Yu looked at Qin Yi, Qin Huan, and the others with a gaze as sharp as a sword. She said, now, the remnants of the Iha nation have been driven into a corner and have been recovered by Commander Feng Jixing. The leader of the rebel army, Qin Yi, is also standing in this imperial court. Although 12 years have passed, do you think this debt should be settled? Feng Jixing said, as for how to deal with the Prince of Jiangnan and the old subordinates of the Iha nation, everyone can speak freely. No matter what you say, we will not pursue the matter after. For a whole minute, the officials were silent. What, no one is willing to speak? Feng Jixing smiled. Then I will speak first. I think, the guilty officials should never be pardoned. Qin Yi and his people should be executed on the spot. Qin Yi and Qin Huan were stunned. No one thought that Feng Jixing would be so ruthless. They originally thought that he brought Qin Yi back to Lanyan City for a public trial, but they didn't think that he just wanted to change the location and kill Qin Yi. Among the officials, Zheng Yifan coughed and said, General Feng, I have something to say. Speak. The Prince of Jiangnan, Qin Yi, murdered the late Emperor, Qin Jin. This is a feud. I think that the person who can decide Qin Yi's life or death should be Her Highness, the Empress. How about, we wait for Her Highness to finish her seclusion and let her decide Qin Yi's life or death herself? Divine Marquis is indeed far-sighted. Let's do as you say. Feng Jixing waved his hand and said, after the court meeting is over, escort Qin Yi, Qin Huan, Man Ning, and the rest of the Iha nation survivors to the national monument. Set up temporary residences outside the monument and let them guard the tombs of the empire's fallen heroes until Her Highness Yin comes out of seclusion. Where is Zhang Wei? I am here. Zhang Wei stepped forward. Take 2,000 elite imperial guards to guard them. Take turns in the future. Do not neglect them. Yes, I understand. Feng Jixing seemed to have said too much. He rested for a few seconds and said, let's move on to the next item. The Empire's navy urgently needs 500 million Jingrin coins to build improved steam-plated ships. Where are we going to get these 200 million Jingrin coins? Ministry of Revenue, tell me. The Ministry of Revenue minister held the jade tablet in his hand and said, General Feng, the Ministry of Revenue has been allocating funds to open up wastelands for farming since the beginning of spring. These grains have not been collected yet, so the Ministry of Revenue's funds are very tight. We can only fork out about 200 million Jingrin coins. Nonsense. I've checked the Ministry of Revenue's accounts. We have at least 800 million Jingrin coins. General Feng, you might not know this, but 600 million of these 800 million Jingrin coins were decided by the Congress. This matter should be explained to you by the general. Oh. Feng Jixing looked at Qin Lian. Qin Lian said, after years of war, the current situation of more than a dozen provinces is the same. Population loss, land barren. Therefore, the Congress has decided to allocate 400 million Jingrin coins to build public offices in various states to provide housing for the displaced citizens of the empire. Another 200 million Jingrin coins to build schools in various places to educate homeless children. This is the empire's long-term strategy. Please approve, General Feng. Feng Jixing was stunned. In terms of military ability, Feng Jixing was second to none in Lanyan City. But in terms of government affairs, Feng Jixing was probably 10 times worse than Qin Lian. Su'er nodded and said in a low voice, the general is right. We can't be militaristic. I know. Feng Jixing took a deep breath, clenched his fists, and said, the academy needs to be set up, and the warship needs to be built as well. Since the Congress and the Ministry of Revenue have spent all the resources of the empire, then I, Feng Jixing, will get the money myself. Hey, don't mess around. Su'er frowned. Chapter 1065. 3 days later, on the east coast of Tongtian Gorge, Silver Scale Port. This port had been built for 3 months and was supervised by Qianfeng himself. Its name came from the undulating waves on the surface of the sea during the day, which looked like countless silver fish scales. At noon, a row of warhorses galloped out of the port. The 2 people in the lead were Qianfeng and Feng Jixing, who had been in Lanyan City 3 days ago. General Feng, please have a look. Qianfeng pointed at the port and said proudly, this silver scale port is big enough for hundreds of warships to dock. Neither storms nor tsunamis can harm the ships in the port. Moreover, the sea route to the Tianji Empire has been opened, so there will be no obstacles along the way. However, I wonder what General Feng wants to transport to the celestial pole continent to trade with the enemy? Feng Jixing smiled and said, General, look at those merchant ships with red sides. They are all my ships. You can go and have a look at the goods yourself. Oh. Qianfeng led the crowd and galloped away. They dismounted and boarded the ship. The ship was filled with heavy boxes. When Qianfeng tore open the seal of one of the boxes, it was covered with straw. When the straw was separated, they could see the flickering golden light. They were gold ingots the size of fists. Oh my God, gold? Qianfeng was shocked. Yes. Feng Jixing nodded and said, you left these treasures before he went into seclusion. In the past few months, we have mined many rich gold mines and cast countless gold ingots. However, the resources in the empire are poor and we can't afford so many gold ingots. Instead of this, why don't we transport these gold ingots to the Tianji Empire and use our gold to buy their horses, ironware, demonic spirit stones, beautiful women, and so on? Qianfeng was at a loss. They even want to buy beautiful women. Didn't His Highness you issue a decree to prohibit the sale of human beings? Times have changed. What's more, we're buying women who are suffering in other countries. We'll just buy them and treat them well. Qianfeng glared at Feng Jixing, feeling that this person wasn't too reliable. He said, demonic spirit stones are forbidden to be bought and sold in the Celestial Greatness continent. Who are you planning to buy them from? Could it be that General Feng has already established a connection with the Chamber of Commerce in the Heavenly Pole continent? No, but I don't need to do anything at all. The buyer has already been found. How so? The cargo ship will sail directly to the Xishan province of the Tianji Empire and stop at the port of the Xishan province to trade. You can rest assured that the people of the Xishan province are all our people. Qianfeng's eyes lit up. He smiled and said, is it Si Kongyao, the commandery princess of Shiping? The marshal is a smart man. He figured it out immediately. Ha ha ha, Commander Yu is indeed brilliant. She left 2 chess pieces, Si Kongyao and Lu Bai, in the Heavenly Pole continent. At the critical moment, they will definitely have a miraculous effect of turning the situation around. Ha ha ha, Feng Jixing also had a smug look on his face. Qianfeng laughed dryly. He suddenly stopped and asked, Does the Heavenly Pole continent need coolies? If they do, I have more than 10,000 armor demons here to provide them. Each of them can be exchanged for 500 kilograms of ironware. Didn't you say that the armor demons are treasures? Why, do you want to sell them now? Alas, after the worm nest started operating again, a lot of armor demons have hatched. These idiots can eat a lot. The cattle and sheep I raise in the 8 wastelands are not enough at all. Now I've started to organize fishing and let the armor demons eat the fish and shrimp in the sea. They actually don't like to eat them and are very picky. Feng Jixing raised his sword-like eyebrows. Picky about seafood? I think these armor demons are tired of living. Actually, I have a good idea. Don't you also feed a dozen giant flying snakes? Since the hatching of the armor demons can't be controlled, we can feed the giant flying snakes with the armor demons. The corner of Qianfeng's mouth twitched. Damn you, Feng Jixing. There's really nothing you can't do. Come on. During the war between humans and demons, your armor demons ate a lot of human flesh. Many orders were directly conveyed by you, Qianfeng. I haven't even settled this account with you yet. You're bringing up the old account again. You're really narrow-minded than His Highness Yu. Who said that? Say it again. I said it. While the 2 of them were arguing until their faces were flushed, a human general galloped over and leaped onto the cargo ship. He said respectfully, Sirs, please don't quarrel anymore. In another 2 hours, our other 50 cargo ships will arrive. Each of them has a load of about 50,000 jin. This time, there will be a total of 62 cargo ships transporting gold ingots to the Celestial Pole continent. Based on the gold price of the Tianji Empire, even 200 large cargo ships may not be able to deliver the goods we've purchased. The merchant ships we've sent are simply not enough. Qianfeng frowned and said, Yes, how can we solve this problem? Feng Jixing smiled and said, You're really good for nothing except fighting. Use your brain. Since we have gold, and the main currency in circulation in the Celestial Pole continent is gold ingots, Si Kongyao has the right to mint gold coins in Shiping province. The gold coins she mints can be circulated throughout the continent. It's easy to do things with gold. She will naturally buy merchant ships from various seaports in the Celestial Pole continent. When we went, there were 62 cargo ships, and when we came back, there were at least 500. Good heavens, Qianfeng took a deep breath and said, 500 merchant ships will arrive in half a month. Won't we be rich? Yes. Feng Jixing patted his shoulder and said with a smile, Yes, you're rich. Do you still want to marry concubines? This silver scale port is your territory. You can get 7 or 8 concubines just by charging a small docking fee for the merchant ships. Go away. Am I that kind of person? Qian Feng refused angrily. In reality, ever since Feng Jing died, Qian Feng had been alone. He had never thought of having another woman. Sometimes, he thought back to the past. No matter how bad Feng Jing's temper was, no matter how unruly and headstrong she was the only one. Thinking of this, Qian Feng glanced at Feng Jixing and found that he was looking at the boxes of gold ingots reluctantly. Qian Feng smiled. Feng Jixing looked carefree on the outside, but he was actually very meticulous. Feng Jixing had always been single and had never thought of marrying a concubine. No one knew who was hidden in the depths of his heart. He was like a mysterious man. Feng Jixing looked at the gold ingots and his heart couldn't bear to part with them. His face was full of reluctance. 1 gold ingot could be minted into at least 100 Jinlin coins, and in the fragrant boudoir in the imperial capital, Lanyan City. 100 gold coins could buy him half a month of wine and 2 girls every night. Thinking about it, it was such a pity. 2 days later, in Shiping City. Outside the city lord's residence, the sound of the guards training soared into the sky and the courtyard was filled with the singing of birds and the fragrance of flowers. Si Kongyao was dressed in a tight-fitting Tianji Empire's senior female officer uniform as she sat on a chair among the flowers. Her 2 long legs were propped up on the stone table as she took the letter from Liu Bai's hands and stretched lazily before opening the letter. Liu Bai took a look at Si Kongyao's chest and thighs and could not help but swallow his saliva. You are not allowed to look. Si Kongyao glared at him. Yes, I won't look, I won't look. Liu Bai was trembling with fear. Si Kongyao was the kind of woman that was prepared for him. A man who could have an unruly little woman like Si Kongyao must be a man like Lin Muyu who had both strength and power. It was probably because of this that Si Kongyao relied on and liked Lin Muyu so much. Si Kongyao glanced at the letter and immediately crumpled it into a ball. What did the people in Lanyan City say? Liu Bai asked. Si Kongyao stretched lazily again and said, the first batch of gold ingots will arrive in about 10 days. There are a total of 60 cargo ships and each ship is filled with gold ingots. Wow, then won't we be rich? Look at how promising you are, Si Kongyao raised the corner of her mouth and said with a smile, but we are indeed rich. Take out half of these gold ingots to purchase supplies and keep the other half as the inventory for Baizei's mercenaries. The Shattered Cauldron realm is indeed rich in resources. No wonder the 3 empires want to conquer the Shattered Cauldron realm so much. These ships of gold ingots will probably dazzle the eyes of the merchants in the celestial pole continent. Liu Bai said, then, should we build a few large refineries to produce more gold coins? No need. Wouldn't that take a longer time to convert the gold ingots into money? Si Kongyao stood up and said with a smile, tomorrow, summon the people from the various chambers of commerce and call the merchants from the Celestial Empire and the Blackstone Empire. I want to talk to them about using gold ingots for direct transactions and have them search for supplies from all over. Most of them are military supplies. I'm afraid they won't be easy to buy. Don't worry. How many of these merchants have clean hands? As long as you give them money, there's nothing they can't get. Si Kongyao puffed out her well-developed chest and said confidently, the 3 great empires are in constant war, and the governance of the various regions has long been unable to keep up with their wishes. Now, as long as you have money, you can get whatever resources you want. Don't you believe me? Our West Mountain Province and the Fire Element Province are pretty much the 2 great provinces with the best security in the entire celestial great continent. I believe you, I believe you. I'll believe anything you say. Liu Bai nodded helplessly. Then I'll go and do it now. Go, bring a few more people. You, as the leader of Baizei's mercenaries, have a high position and are very weak. If you don't bring a few more people, you'll be assassinated. None of those merchants are easy to deal with. Yao, you're about to step into the God Emperor realm. Why don't you protect me personally? Tui, you shameless fellow. What qualifications do you have for me to protect you personally? Go and choose from the guards of our God realm. Pick the ugliest ones to go with you. Why the ugliest? This suits you better. Si Kongyao chuckled softly. She lifted the cloak and draped it over her fragrant shoulders, then swayed her round buttocks as she walked into the main hall. Her newly developed and voluptuous body was especially enchanting under the uniform, causing Lu Bai to involuntarily swallow a mouthful of saliva. Motherf *Ker, why is this annoying little seductress so devastatingly beautiful, yet I can't touch her? Although Lu Bai's strength and status were rising day by day, he still had self-awareness. Si Kongyao was the first person in the entire West Mountain province that he could not touch. After all, the two people behind her were Si Kongming and Lin Muyu. Neither of them were existences that he could afford to offend. Chapter 1066. 6 days in the Shattered Cauldron Realm, 2 months in the 64 domains. It was almost noon, and the scorching sun was scorching the earth. The 64 domains welcomed another scorching hot summer. The domain castle in the Starfall domain had a new owner. It had been occupied by the Dragon League more than a month ago. Zheng Xian led the defeated soldiers and fled without a trace. As a result, the Dragon League seized the domain castle in the Earthbearing domain. Since then, the Dragon League had taken control of 6 domain castles. More than half of the 11 southern domains had been swallowed by the Dragon League, and the Dragon League had the momentum to unify the south. On the domain castle in the Starfall domain, a cool breeze was blowing, but it brought scorching heat waves. Lin Muyu stood on the edge of the city wall, watching the bare-chested servant army and some god-state warriors training outside the city. The Starfall domain had unknowingly become the strategic frontier of the Dragon League. Whether it was the revenge of the Fire Lion domain in the western region or the coveting of the Heaven-devouring domain in the middle region, they would start from here. It's so hot. Tang Xiaoxi was wearing a red short skirt, and her exquisite and curvy figure was extremely charming. She waved her fan and said, "Mu, when will Murong Tianqing and the others arrive? We'll just wait like this." "Well, do you want to go and greet them?" Lin Muyu chuckled, turned to look at Tang Xiaoxi, and then looked at Qin Yin, who was quietly cultivating under the eaves of the city tower, and said, "Xiao Shi, look at Xiao Yin, she can stand still, but you are the only one complaining about the heat." The corners of Tang Xiaoxi's mouth raised slightly. "I cultivate the law of fire, so my body is originally very hot, not to mention the weather is too hot, like a big furnace, it's so hot. You can only cool down when you calm down. Learn from Xiao Yin." "No, you'll teach me the jade snow ice of the star technique, right?" "Come on, you can't even learn the first appearance of the star technique, let alone the jade snow ice." At this time, Qin Yin, who had been standing still, slowly opened her starry eyes. Rays of light energy fluttered around her like snowflakes. She smiled and said, "You two, stop arguing. Xiao Shi, why don't we go to the Cave of Gods and Demons to cultivate in 2 days? It's cool there, and we can avoid the heat." Okay, Mumu will come with us. I have to deal with the merger of the southern region's 11 southern regions. Okay, I'll wait for you." "Good." Just at this moment, a surge of energy surged from outside, and shwa silhouettes appeared one after another outside the domain castle. It was the domain lords of the 5 southern regions. Murong Tianqing, Shenjun, Jianghu and the others were all present. Lin Muyu's figure flashed, and she broke through the void, appearing outside the domain castle. She cupped her fists and smiled. "It's been a long time, domain lords." Murong Tianqing looked deeply at Lin Muyu, and he could feel that Lin Muyu's aura was endless, and there were actually 87 divine waves. He couldn't help but exclaim in admiration, and cupped his fists. It's been a long time. In just 2 months, Alliance leader Lin's cultivation has broken through to such a level, it's amazing and enviable. Lin Muyu smiled lightly, it's just luck, it's all luck. Domain lords, please enter the domain castle, we've already prepared a banquet. Once you arrive, we'll start the banquet immediately. Okay. Shen Jun squinted his eyes, and smiled. Alliance leader Lin, I heard that Fiery Lion Region's domain lord Zhuang Fei was killed by you? Lin Muyu was startled. I didn't. Where did domain lord Shen hear this from? Zhuang Fei tried to attack Dragon City, but he was killed by a friend of mine. Alliance leader Lin's friend is the one who destroyed Spirit Wind Region and Ancient Desolate Region by herself, Fairy Xiao, right? What's the point of saying this? Let's enter the domain castle first. Okay. In the Starfall domain, the longevity altar had already been repaired, and the reception hall was located within the longevity altar. After Lin Muyu gave the order, the servants began to prepare the banquet. The sun slowly set, and dusk arrived. The weather was still hot, and there were maids who were scantily dressed coming and going. However, most of them were cultivators, and most of them had already lost interest in the affairs of men and women in the mortal world. For people like Morong Tianqing, they couldn't even be bothered to look at those gorgeously dressed maids. Wine and meat were already prepared, and the moment they arrived, they immediately took out dishes from the ice cellar. The aroma of wine filled the air, and Feng Zhanlin, Feng Zhanhai, and the rest of the drunkards immediately became excited. Lin Muyu sat on the host seat, while Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi sat on the right. Feng Zhanlin and Ma Qilin sat on the left, followed by Gomang and Zhu Long. As for Emperor Jiang and Chang Liang, they were too frightening, so they didn't attend. Moreover, they didn't like this kind of occasion, preferring a free and unfettered life. Come, domain lords, let's have a toast. Lin Muyu raised her cup. The present was different from the past, and Lin Muyu's status was completely different from 2 months ago. No one dared to be negligent, and they all raised their cups and drained it in one gulp. Silver River Region's domain lord, Jianghu, put down his cup and looked at Gomang and Zhulong with burning eyes. These two are... Oh, I forgot to introduce them. Lin Muyu said apologetically, this is Gomang, and this is Zhulong, 2 of the 12 ancient shamans, and also my right-hand men. The 12 ancient shamans? Jiang Yuyang's body trembled, and he said, are they, the subordinates of Qi Yu who fought against the Yellow Emperor Xian Yuan? So the domain lord also knows us. Zhulong smiled lightly. Jiang Yuyang hurriedly bowed, and said, so it's the 2 seniors, this junior has been impolite. Our Yin River domain is originally the descendants of the Yellow Emperor. Although war god Qi Yu was defeated, we are still ancestors, so the 2 of you are also seniors. Morong Tianqing squinted his eyes, and smiled, how did the 2 of you get to know Alliance Lord Lin? Gomang said concisely, we didn't get to know each other, but Lin Muyu has already received the inheritance of the ancestral god. He is now the new master of the 4 great shamans, and the new leader of the Jioli tribe. Morong Tianqing was shocked. At this time, Shen Jun smiled, and said, the 2 of you have a long breath, and your strength is unfathomable. Can you let us juniors experience it? You want to experience it? Zhu Long laughed, and said, then I'll let you experience it. With that said, Zhu Long suddenly bellowed. Beams of intense light burst out of his body, and at the next moment, the originally tranquil hall plunged into chaos. Pythons and demonic dragons danced in a frenzy as they pounced over. The ground trembled, and the floor of the hall cracked in the blink of an eye. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky. A catastrophe was right in front of them. What? Shen Jun and Jiang Yuyang stood up, as if they were facing a great enemy. Zhulong, enough is enough. Lin Muyu said softly. Yes, leader. Zhulong smiled, and flipped his palm, which was originally flipped open, and lightly landed on the table. Immediately, the illusion disappeared, and Shenjun and Jianghu stood in the air, with their weapons drawn, and were on guard. Murong Tianqing and the others immediately laughed. Territory Lord Shen, Territory Lord Jiang, you are too nervous. Murong Tianqing said. That was. Jianghu was shocked. That was just an illusion. Zhulong smiled, and said, but if Territory Lord likes it, I can make the illusion real. There is no need for that. I have already experienced it. Murong Tianqing cupped his fists, and said, congratulations, Alliance Lord Lin, for obtaining the help of seniors like Gomang and Zhulong. Now, the Dragon League has the strength to fight against the heaven-devouring realm. I wonder what Alliance Lord Lin plans to do in the future. This is the reason I invited you all here. Lin Muyu looked at everyone with a burning gaze, and said, you all already know that I, Lin Muyu, am from the Eastern Divine Realm. I came here to cultivate, but now I have changed my original intention. I want to borrow the strength of everyone in the 64 domains to strengthen the Eastern Divine Realm, and bring everyone away from the 64 domains to the Eastern Divine Realm to enjoy eternal life, as well as the worship and offerings of the people. Very tempting. Murong Tianqing smiled indifferently. Shenjun said slowly, but the price is that the 5 domains will have to submit to the Dragon League, right? Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh, and shook her index finger, and said, not submit, but join the Dragon League's alliance. Divided, weak, united. The 64 domains will be united soon, and everyone can choose to join the Dragon League, or the heaven-devouring realm. In any case, there will be a war between the Dragon League and the heaven-devouring realm, and this war is unavoidable. Jianghu said, doesn't that mean we'll have to change sides? Lin Muyu nodded and smiled, that's right, join the Dragon League, and no longer exist as a domain. The era of domains is about to end. Shenjun squinted and smiled, and said, so, what about joining the Dragon League? What about not joining? Lin Muyu took a deep breath, and said, it's simple. The heaven-devouring realm is also forming alliances with other forces, and our Dragon League's plan is to annex the 17 domains in the western region. Gomang, Candle Dragon, Dijiang, and Changliang will each lead a force to the western region, and conquer the forces in the western region one by one. But before that, I want to unify the southern region. Your 5 domains are between the Dragon League and the heaven-devouring realm. Even if you don't join the Dragon League, you will still be destroyed by the heaven-devouring realm. So, I invite you to join the Dragon League. The region lords of the 5 regions put down their wine cups and looked at each other. This was indeed a Hongmen banquet. Murong Tianqing slowly stood up and said respectfully, Leader Lin, will you treat us like brothers? Of course. Good. The Skyline domain is willing to join the Dragon League and become a member of the Dragon League. Welcome. Lin Muyu turned to the attendant and said, record it down, there is another domain besides the 4 domains of the Dragon League, and its leader is Murong Tianqing. Yes, leader. This, Shenjun, Jianghu, and the others looked at each other. The Skyline domain was the strongest of the 5 domains. Who would have thought that Murong Tianqing would join the Dragon League so easily? After a while, Shenjun said in a low voice, Leader Lin, if the 4 domains don't want to join the Dragon League, what will you do? Lin Muyu smiled, if I don't take it, the bandits will. Instead of letting the heaven-devouring region devour you all to strengthen themselves, why don't I do it myself? If the 4 region lords are not willing to join the Dragon Alliance, then please return to prepare for battle and wait for the Dragon Alliance's army to sweep through. Chapter 1067. Shenjun and others were all silent. After a long time, Jianghu cupped his hands and said, Yinjiang region is willing to join the Dragon League. Then Shenjun and others also expressed their willingness to join the Dragon League. Sure enough, there was no strategy more effective than blackmail in the world in the face of absolute strength. Lin Muyu nodded cheerfully. Come on, record that the Dragon League will set up another Jiuli region outside the 5 regions. Gomang and Candle Dragon will be the rulers of the region. Half of the forces of Yinjiang region, Fongjin region, Fiery Qilin region and Leiqi region will be sent to Jiuli region, and the other half will be equally distributed to the other 5 regions. Shen Jun's face instantly became gloomy. Leader, why does the Tianqing region form its own force, but we are reorganized and divided? Because it's too late. Lin Muyu glanced at him coldly and said, but it doesn't matter. As long as you serve the Dragon League and the Eastern Divine Realm well in the future, don't you worry about wealth? Shen Jun nodded. Yes. Lin Muyu raised her wine cup and said, I know that the 4 domain lords feel aggrieved, but Gomang and Torch Dragon are ancient gods with strength above the 95th grotto heaven. It's not an injustice to have them rule over the 4 domains. Perhaps, you can even learn some ancient mystic techniques from the 2 ancestral magi to raise your cultivation. Why not? Jiang Yuyang nodded and said with a smile, that's right. Leader, you see it clearly. We should also be more open-minded. If we haggle over every little thing, we will all become little women. We don't look like demigods at all. Everyone laughed, and the originally hostile atmosphere was instantly diluted. 3 days later, according to Lin Muyu's order, almost all the people from the 5 regions came to the Falling Star domain. As a result, the Dragon League's strength skyrocketed. There were 104 celestial emperors, more than 1,400 divine kings, more than 6,000 hierarch experts, and nearly 8,000 divine realm experts. The strength of the Dragon League was more than enough to look down on the 64 regions. It was a force that could play an important role in any divine domain. Lin Muyu's style was swift and decisive. That night, he ordered the 4 grand wizards to lead 4 teams to the west and take away half of their forces. Meanwhile, he, Tang Xiaoxi, Qin Yin, and the others guarded the Falling Star area, which was the territory of the Dragon League. Just like that, a vigorous war of conquest began in the territories of the 64 domains. The 4 great ancestral sorcerers were so powerful that they were almost invincible in the 64 domains. Even Situ Yun, the domain lord of the heaven-devouring territory, was only at the 97th level of the Grotto Heaven realm. His strength was not above that of Gomang or Torch Dragon. Therefore, when the Dragon League attacked the cities and territories, the heaven-devouring territory did not dare to do anything. Half a month later, the 4 great ancestral sorcerers destroyed the Fiery Lion territory, the Eternal territory, and the other 17 domains in the western region, which were on the verge of destruction. Most of the cultivators in those domains joined the Dragon League, which doubled the strength of the Dragon League. With the strength of the 17 domains added to the 6 domains of the Dragon League, the total number of God-state warriors in the Dragon League was over 10,000, reaching nearly 16,000. While the Dragon League was sitting on the throne of the 64 domains, the heaven-devouring territory finally made a move. In August, in just 7 days, 12 domains in the north of the 64 domains, including Du Xing's Gale domain, announced that they would join the heaven-devouring territory. In the following 3 days, 13 of the 15 domains in the east announced that they would join the heaven-devouring territory. Only Nangong Li's Mystic Heaven domain and Ling Songhan's Wind Spirit domain refused Situ Yun's invitation. The entire 64 domains had become a confrontation between the 2 camps. No one knew what the final result would be. Late at night, in the domain castle in the Falling Star domain, it was a bit chilly. Under the candlelight, Lin Muyu sat under the window and read the Octaterra map that Luo Tianji had given her in the sacred relic. This book mainly talked about the war between the gods in ancient times and some ancient anecdotes. Knock, knock, Feng Zhanlin knocked on the door and said, "Leader, are you asleep?" "No." Lin Muyu put down the book, put on her coat and stood up. She looked behind her and saw Tang Xiaoxi and Qin Yin sleeping peacefully on the big bed. She didn't want to disturb them. She walked straight to the hall and opened the door. Feng Zhanlin was standing outside, dripping with dew. Even his eyelashes were covered with dew. "How long have you been standing under the tree?" Lin Muyu asked. Feng Zhanlin was a bit embarrassed. "Not long, about 4 to 6 hours, Lin Muyu smiled. "Sit down. You came to me because of the mystic heaven domain, right?" "Yes." Feng Zhanlin knelt on one knee and said, "Leader, Nangong Lai and I are like brothers. Now, only Nangong Lai and Ling Songhan haven't surrendered to the heaven-devouring realm. Situ Yun is an arrogant ancient god. Before the heaven-devouring realm attacks the Dragon League, they will definitely kill Nangong Lai. I can't bear to see Nangong Lai end up like that." Lin Muyu slowly sat down and took a sip of tea. "Leader, you want me to order the Dragon League to send reinforcements to the mystic heaven domain and fight against the heaven-devouring realm?" "Yes, there will be a battle sooner or later. We should take advantage of the fact that Nangong Lai is still alive." "What makes you think that the heaven-devouring realm won't ambush us?" Feng Zhanlin's forehead was dripping with sweat. "I'm not sure if the heaven-devouring realm will plot against us, but I can't watch the mystic heaven domain be destroyed. Nangong Lai is a talent. We should fight for him." Lin Muyu looked at him indifferently. "What do you think the odds are for us to win the battle against the heaven-devouring realm?" I. Feng Zhanlin hesitated and said, "The Dragon League has more than 200 god emperors, 3,000 god kings, and 10,000 hierarch experts. The heaven-devouring realm has more than 300 god emperors, 5,000 god kings, and 20,000 hierarch experts. If we really fight, I'm afraid the odds are 50-50. You know it's not a sure win, so don't take the risk. Leader, do you know what I sent the Candle Dragon clan to do?" Feng Zhanlin frowned and said, "I know a little. The Candle Dragon clan ancestor has led more than 2,000 God Realm experts to the western region. But I don't know the intention of the Alliance Master. His intention is simple. Situ Yun has almost unified the middle, northern, and eastern regions, but not all of the people from the 34 regions are in the heaven-devouring region. So, if Situ Yun wants to gather his forces to fight the Dragon League, the northern region will definitely be empty. At that time, Torch Dragon will naturally sweep through all the domain castles in the northern region and make the 12 northern regions homeless." Feng Zhanlin hesitated and said, "Leader, are you planning to use the Candle Dragon clan to contain the heaven-devouring realm and slowly exhaust them?" "Yes, I need time." "What time?" "When Shiyan awakens the wings of Seraph." "What do you mean?" "Shiyan's wings of Seraph will only be truly awakened after she reaches the 80th heaven, which means that her strength will recover to about 60% of her peak. Currently, Shiyan is cultivating in the Cave of Gods and Demons. She'll need about 3 months to break through to the 80th heaven. I won't fight the heaven-devouring realm during this time. I can only rely on the Candle Dragon clan to hold them back." "I see." Feng Zhanlin clenched his fists and said, "So we're not doing anything before that?" "Of course not. Get ready. We'll set off at dawn to save Nangong Lai and the mystic heaven realm." "Just the two of us?" "That's enough." Lin Muyu smiled meaningfully. "It'll be inconvenient if more people go." Feng Zhanlin, when the sun rose in the east, 2 figures flew out of the falling star domain. A spatial rift appeared in the sky, and in the blink of an eye, they were already dozens of kilometers away. The falling star domain and the mystic heaven realm were more than 500 kilometers apart, but if Lin Muyu and Feng Zhanlin flew at full speed, they would arrive in an hour. "Domain Master, how confident are you?" "You'd better, tell me. Otherwise, I'll always be uneasy," Feng Zhanlin said in a low voice. Lin Muyu smiled faintly and suddenly took out a dagger with golden runes from her Qianquan bag. "Do you know this?" she asked. Fushi's heavenly book? Feng Zhanlin turned pale with fright. That's right. It's a high-quality divine book. It can teleport everyone within 100 meters, and the distance can be up to 100 kilometers. Therefore, even if the realm of mystic heaven is surrounded by people from the realm of heaven devouring, we can still escape with our people. The only thing we need to do is inform Nangong Lai to get ready and gather everyone. Yes, I understand. Feng Zhanlin was overjoyed. After thinking for a few times, he said, Faction Master, it's done. Before long, Lin Muyu looked ahead with a frown and said, Suppress your aura and fly close to the branches. We've run into an ambush. An ambush? Yes, it's people from the realm of heaven devouring. Yes. Feng Zhanlin looked into the distance. Indeed, there was a faint killing intent in the forest, and he could vaguely sense wisps of divine power. Most of them were god kings. As he had expected, the people from the realm of heaven devouring had surrounded the realm of mystic heaven to lure the people from the Dragon League into their trap. Unfortunately, only 2 people from the Dragon League had come, and they left very quickly. In the distance, a silver fortress appeared in the rising sun. They had arrived at the realm of mystic heaven. A few kilometers away from the realm of mystic heaven, people from the realm of heaven devouring could be seen everywhere. There were thousands of them, and all of them were God realm experts. Lin Muyu said in a low voice, Go into the fortress as fast as you can. Don't wait for Nangong Lai to open the door. Follow me. Yes. Some people on the ground had already discovered their tracks. Someone even shouted, Someone is coming. Kill them. But it was too late. Lin Muyu drew the Xianyuan sword, which shone with a dazzling golden light. She shouted, All living beings in the world, listen to my command. Boom! The heavy and ferocious earth energy charged forward, causing the dozens of godly state experts in front of her to scatter. None of them could withstand Lin Muyu's attack. Bang! The Xianyuan sword pierced through the wall of the fortress, destroying the barrier and opening up a path. The 2 of them rushed into the fortress one after another, and went straight to the center of the fortress. There, Nangong Lai had gathered more than 1,000 followers. Looking at the 2 people in the distance, he smiled and said, Finally, they have come. But they have also destroyed my fortress, damn it. You're tuning in to the Unparalleled SwordWill YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.